All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I understand people get upset about walking through a debt ceiling, but this is a House, a Senate, and a presidency. I think when you read the Wall Street Journal, you read the New York Post, you sit back and listen to a lot of economists, they'll say, this is the strongest debt ceiling we ever had. And if I compare it to when Republicans were in the majority, when they had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they didn't cut anything. They just added more money.
So Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, after you remember that really dramatic, embattled vote for the Speaker, and he managed the ability to secure the speakership by coalescing people and promising Lord knows what. And now he's got to shepherd us through this right here, right now. It's difficult because he's got to please a lot of different people. How's he doing? How do you feel about the job that Kevin McCarthy is doing? Well, that's today's YouTube live chat poll. I invite you to go watch and stream and chat and vote on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. And that's today's poll. Grade Speaker McCarthy's job performance so far. Standard grades for Annie Frey show grading scale apply. A, B/C, D, or F. And we need your comments. Hannah's going to read those for us throughout the course of the show. And we'll find out what you feel and think about Kevin McCarthy's job so far. I'm not going to get too much into the debt ceiling conversation right now because in about 15 minutes, Chad Pergram's going to join us. He's a senior congressional correspondent for Fox News. He's there on the Hill. He knows the conversations that are taking place, and he's going to walk us through the whole ordeal, where we have come from, how we got to here, and if there's still work that needs to be done. We know that there are over 30 Republicans that plan to vote no on the debt bill. But remember, this was an agreement that was arrived at with Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Joe Biden. So will there be some Democrats who sponsor or who do vote in favor of this bill? We'll have to see. Even if all the Republicans came together minus 4 of them, they can't pass it. So we need to see how this is going to shake out with some of those staunch, more Freedom Caucus-like Republicans saying, nope, not going to vote for it, not going to do it. There are other representatives like Thomas Massey who are often probably of the more staunchly conservative small government ilk that have said, yes, I am going to vote for it. It's not perfect, but it's the best we're going to be able to do right now. I need to know what you think about this. I want to know how you feel about the negotiations so far, and you can grade Kevin McCarthy's speakership job so far by going to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and finding where we're broadcasting live, as we do each day, right there on YouTube. And the poll is located in the live chat portion of that video. There are a lot of attacks that are manifesting themselves in the 2024 primary election, specifically for the Republican side of the aisle. We talk about that a lot. But one of the other key issues that is facing that presidential primary is on the Democrat side. And whether or not Joe Biden is going to debate. And the DNC has said, no, Joe Biden is not going to debate. I hear a lot of people saying the president needs to speak up. The president needs to defend his position. There are a lot of Democrats who are not happy with the job that Joe Biden is doing, and they want to see him try to earn it. And I honestly think that the reason why they want to push the debates, when you hear Democrat disenchanted voters say, no, we think that there should be a debate, or say, no, 20% of us feel like maybe RFK Jr. might be the right thing for the country, or 8% saying Marianne Williamson is the right thing for the country. They're pushing this idea that no debates should happen. I'm here to say, first and foremost, if you have an incumbent president and the party's not going to stand behind that incumbent president, then that's the biggest anti-endorsement that could possibly come. And if the DNC were to say, no, Joe Biden, I think you need to earn this one again because you've done 3 years in the presidency, and that's not enough to prove to the American people that you're the right guy for the next 4. Politically speaking, the DNC should not force Joe Biden on a debate stage with these 2 other candidates who are not going to get the Democrat nomination. If there is an instance where Joe Biden is going to debate in a primary, you are going to see other formidable opponents enter that race. And RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson will be on the stage and they will make their points, but they're not going to be the nominee. I will go back and reiterate my theory that I feel very comfortable in, that Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee. Joe Biden is going to, as far as we know, step out of this race at a time that is convenient to Joe Biden. There are things that he certainly wants to get done before he would make himself a lame duck president. But I don't believe that Joe Biden is the guy, and I feel like the DNC is backing him because they know that he's going to step down, but it's all about timing. The more that the Democrats can say, nope, we've got our guy, Joe Biden is our guy, and let the Republicans take center stage, sling mud at each other all over the place, try to eviscerate and tear each other apart from the seams, the more the Democrats can stay in the background during a primary season and let the Republicans hang all of their dirty laundry for the world to see, the better for the Democrats as a whole. If Joe Biden knows that he's not running for re-election, and if you go back and you think about how long it took them to say that he was running again, and then he kind of like spilled the beans at the egg roll, the Easter egg roll or whatever, like, yeah, not ready to make an announcement yet, but we'll be announcing that next week. And it's like, was he supposed to say that? Were we supposed to know that? There's never been a confidence behind him running for re-election. The actual people who are going to vote in Democrat primaries do not have confidence in the incumbent president. Very few people do. Even Dawson from Dawson's Creek doesn't.
The Democratic National Committee is saying there will not be a debate to decide the nominee for president. Are you kidding me? There's no debate over an 80-year-old man who, if he lives, will be the oldest sitting president in the history of the country. And if he doesn't live, has a vice president whose approval rating is worse than his. This guy is obviously declining mental faculties. You're putting him up in front of a podium with flashcards telling him who to call on and what the questions are going to be. What about the will of the people? If we don't have a debate, this is not a democracy by the people. It's a democracy by them. Who? Big banks, big business, big tech, big pharma, big government, big whatever. What the hell? How do we have a government? How do we have a democracy if we're letting a small little back room of people make all the important decisions for us? That's not a democracy, and it doesn't work because y'all have been wrong about a lot these last couple of years in that back room. I could be wrong about all this. I could be wrong about the guy being fit for the job. I could be wrong about the other people being right, being legitimate, being crazy. You know what would solve that? A debate.
That's James Vanderbeek. I don't know how many people love him from Dawson's Creek. Their vocabulary for high schoolers was completely unrealistic. Therefore, I don't believe that show is based in reality, among other things. I did not watch Dawson's Creek, but I might be the only person who's my age who didn't. But then he was in Varsity Blues. Have you ever seen Varsity Blues, Hannah?
That sounds real familiar, but I don't know. Dawson's Creek, never heard of it.
You've really never heard of Dawson's Creek?
No.
Holy crap. Are you serious?
Yes.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Doesn't strike a chord of any kind.
Nope, doesn't ring a bell, nothing. Varsity Blues does, though.
I wonder if it's because of the movie Varsity Blues or if you've heard it from somewhere else. Not Blue's Clues, It's different.
Yeah, no, that's different.
Kind of. Is James Vanderbeek a conservative? Is he a disenchanted Democrat? Is he a Bernie bro? I don't know I don't know what James Vanderbeek is. I have not followed the career closely of James Vanderbeek, but I see from the last 60 seconds here, maybe a little closer than Hannah has. Do you know who James Vanderbeek is?
No.
Okay.
No.
I've probably threaded the needle between the people who are like in my parents' generation who have no idea what I'm talking about and also Hannah, who has no idea what I'm talking about. Gen Z doesn't know who James Vanderbeek is.
When I was pulling that clip earlier, everybody was like, oh, is that whatever his name is, and I
So
was like,
people
I
knew
guess.
him.
Yes.
The point was made to you that this was a man of some relevance.
Yes. Other people in the office like walked past my desk and recognized his voice right away. I was looking at him talking, hearing him, didn't have any idea who he was.
Well, let me tell you, he was Dawson from Dawson's Creek, which was a huge, huge show on the WB, which you also probably don't understand.
No, I've heard of that.
You've heard of the WB?
I can see the logo in my head.
Can you
Yep.
see the frog?
No.
That's a no. She just looked at me like, I got nothing.
I gave you that look again.
Yes, the WB was a big deal. And it was a big show on every week. High schoolers, Dawson and Joey were a thing. Joey's a girl. That's relevant, I suppose. Joey was Tom Cruise's ex-wife, Katie Holmes.
Oh, okay.
That's where Katie Holmes comes from.
Okay.
Dawson's Creek. But they used, every word they used had 8 syllables. I mean, if you went back and you watched it, you'll be like, what? Teenagers talk like this. Compare the teenagers of Dawson's Creek and the way they spoke to the way teenagers speak today. Bruh.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. It's completely disintegrated. You wouldn't think that he would be the guy who would be coming out and challenging what the Democratic Party is doing to Joe Biden. You wouldn't think that he would be, but maybe I just don't know enough about James Vanderbeek, which makes 2 of us. Is he right? Should he debate? I'm here to tell you, I don't think he should debate because it would be the stupidest thing that Joe Biden could do politically. You put Joe Biden on a stage with anybody and who is sharp, and Joe Biden is going to look foolish there. There is nowhere for Joe Biden to go up on a debate stage. There isn't. People criticized Joe Biden over and over and over, honestly, from both sides of the aisle in the last election. You got to get out of your basement. You got to campaign. You got to go where the people are. You got to blah, blah, blah. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. They were confident that their strategy was a winning strategy, and they won. So as much as people on the left or people in the center or the right, especially the people on the right who want to laugh at the fact that, yeah, you should have a debate in this country. Is this Democratic Republic? We should have a debate. And if you're the best man or the best woman, then win the debate. That's not how it works. That's how you would like it to work. But that isn't, in fact, how it works. This is politics. You don't do things that are going to make you look bad. And there is no way in a frozen over Hades that Joe Biden walking onto a debate stage with anybody is going to make Joe Biden look better. It's just a matter of truth. I wonder when Donald Trump says that he has said in the past that he is not going to debate primary candidates on the Republican side, if he feels as though the only thing that can happen to him from the debate stage is that people are so reminded of his combative style that he doesn't have anywhere up to go. I feel like that might be the case. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, Chad Pergram joins us. He's a senior congressional correspondent for Fox News. He's going to tell us about the debt ceiling update. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
I know the earth will lose a fight just to see a smile, 'cause you got no flaws, no flaws. I'm not trying to be your part-time lover. Sign me up for them full-time. I'm yours, all yours. So what a man got.
C.A. Jones, online at C.A. Jones Inc., is there to help you build the house of your dreams. And a lot of times when you go to build a house on the Illinois side of the river here, if you are hearing this and you're thinking, yeah, we've been thinking about building, a lot of people think about building their next big house and it's going to have all the things. Maybe you're downsizing. Maybe the home you have, you raised 4 kids in it and they're moved up and moved out. And now you want a home that has everything that you need in place for you where you want it, brand new to you. C.A. Jones can help you do that. They have the slogan, improving lives through quality homes and community involvement. They are very, very generous, as I am very glad to partner with them because of this generosity. They're proud military and first responder supporters. They offer veterans, active and first responders, active duty, first responders specials on new homes, solar and remodels. So when you reach out to C.A. Jones and you talk to them about the home that you want to build and the community you want to build it in, they are invested in these communities and they're going to be invested in making your house your dream home. If you're interested in building a home, go online to cajonesinc.com.
streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Unfortunately, you have far too many extreme MAGA Republicans here who are playing an inside game as opposed to doing what is right for the American people. We should be focused on lowering costs, better paying jobs, safer communities, defending democracy from our standpoint, fighting to protect reproductive freedom, and building an economy that works for everyday Americans, as opposed to the palace intrigue that continues to happen on the other side.
So we hear therefore from Hakeem Jeffries, who is the minority leader in the House, and he's talking about those extreme MAGA Republicans. Boy, have we heard that phrase quite a bit. It's never said really with love. It's usually with a bit of judgment, of course, and that he's criticizing this deal, and he's saying Republicans aren't going to be able to get the job done. When we want to know about the X's and O's and the nuts and bolts of what's going on in Congress, we go to our friend Chad Pergram. He joins us again, senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, and if you follow him on Twitter at Chad Pergram, he'll put out these hitchhiker's guides. And I was reading this today on the debt ceiling, Chad. I love when you do this, and thank you for the time here today on the show.
Well, thank you for having me again, Annie. Good to be with you.
Well, we appreciate you. So give us the Cliff's Notes of the Hitchhiker's Guide here on what's going on in Capitol Hill in the debt ceiling negotiations.
Well, this bill is going to pass. It's going to pass the House of Representatives sometime tonight. The most drama might be on what we call the rule. The rule is where you have to get an agreement as to what the terms of debate will be, how they handle the bill on the floor. And the reason this was kind of controversial earlier is that Kevin McCarthy, as part of his deal to get the speakership, cut an agreement with members of the Freedom Caucus to say we're going to have some seats on this committee. Usually members who sit on the Rules Committee, and that's the gateway for legislation to the floor, they are loyalists to the Speaker. It's kind of called the Speaker's Committee, and they basically do the Speaker's bidding. This happens under Republicans, happens under Democrats. But as a concession, Kevin McCarthy agreed to put 3 members on that committee who might not always agree with the Speaker and kind of buck the system. Thomas Massie of Kentucky, Ralph Norman of South Carolina, Chip Roy of Texas. Now, Roy and Norman have absolutely incinerated this deal. So the question was, would Thomas Massie vote for it out of committee? And if they lost all 3, there was no way they could get this out of committee, and there was no way they were going to get Democrats to vote for it. In fact, we went through an awful lot of research here the past couple of days and could find no instance of a minority member voting to get a rule out of the committee. Now, the reason that's important, because if you don't get the rule, you can't play baseball. You can't put the game on the field. You can't debate the bill. So if you're stuck in committee, that's a problem. So that's why they made these concessions. But Thomas Massie came around and he agreed to put to vote for the bill and vote for the rule to put this onto the floor. This will be on the floor tonight. The 72-hour window that Kevin McCarthy touted will expire around 7:15. And it will be a large coalition of Democrats and Republicans who will ultimately support this. You might watch to see a lot of Republicans put their votes up on the board first to see, because Democrats are like, we're in the minority here. We don't need to do anything yet. Let's see how many votes you provide. And this is kind of what Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, was suggesting here. If they put up 150, then we'll vote. And, there won't be as many Democrats probably. But then this will pass through the House of Representatives, and it's on to the Senate. And the question then is, how quickly can the Senate process this? It's probably going to take at least through Friday night at a minimum, if not through Saturday and Sunday, and maybe even Monday or Tuesday, frankly.
So we're speaking with Chad Pergram, senior congressional correspondent for Fox News. It seems as though this bill that they've come together, that the president and Kevin McCarthy have come together on, has made both sides frustrated, which makes me feel like there's some compromise that has gone on. What can you tell us about the concessions that were made by each side?
Well, it was interesting to listen to Dan Kildee, a Democrat from Michigan, earlier today, and he said, they wanted Republicans. If you look at, some of the proposals that some had put out, they're not going to get into, cutting social benefits. They weren't going to make deep cuts into the Inflation Reduction Act, the Democrats' social spending bill passed last year. So Democrats were like, the things that they wanted to do and even, had done in the bill that Republicans had passed through the House back in April, that's not in this bill. and they're very glad about that. So that's why some Democrats are willing to vote for this. On the Republican side, they got a little bit of a win in terms of tamping down the spending, holding down the spending, and it's not huge, but when, let me just take you down the rabbit hole for a minute here. When you take entitlements off the table, so that's about 65-70% of all federal spending, and then you take defense spending off the table, that gets you up to about 85% of all federal spending. Then you take VA off the table, so now you're about 86, 87. You're down to about 13, 14% of all spending that you're going to deal with. And so you're not going to be able to, quote, balance the books or balance the budget when you're only going to play with 13, 14% of all available federal spending. And so, that is a modest spending agreement, but it does bring down some of those levels compared to where they were before the pandemic. And this is why Kevin McCarthy can say we're going to spend less in the coming year on, and it's called discretionary spending, less in discretionary spending because Congress has discretion over spending this. It's not like entitlements. It just goes out the door automatically next year, and that is his selling point to his conference.
Chad Pergram with us right now. So I've seen, I think it was a National Review put out an article about this. We spoke with Steve Moore, economist, of course, yesterday about this. The consensus is Republican voters, if you want a better bill, you need to vote in more Republicans. With such a razor-thin majority, is this the best the Republicans probably can get?
And Kevin McCarthy has said as much. You remember there was a time in the fall where he was going around the country saying we're going to get 40 to 60 seats. Newt Gingrich, the former speaker, predicted something even bigger than that. And guess what? They got a 4-seat majority. And when you control, 1/3 of this process, they don't control the Senate. They didn't win the Senate. A lot of people thought that was going to happen. President Biden, we knew, was still going to be in office. Guess what? That's going to be the compromise. And Stephen Moore would be absolutely 100% correct. Because if you had, another 40 or 50 Republicans, and if you won the Senate and you had, say, 55 Republicans, you could really take on the administration. But if you don't have that, guess what? They have a voice in this. And this is what I found so remarkable about some of the Freedom Caucus folks is that they kept saying, well, we have to stick to this plan, the plan that they passed through the House back in April. Well, that's not going to become law. I mean, you can talk about that all day, but that means there's going to be a default. And most people don't think that that's a good thing either. So if you're really up here to legislate, it's easy to campaign and say, I'm going to go to Washington and do all these great things. But when it comes to most votes in Congress are like this. It's easy to be for these big, high-minded ideals, be it on the left or the right on the campaign trail. You can't affect them in Washington because that change is always going to be incremental.
As you say all the time, especially in your tweets, it's about the math, and it continues to be here. We're speaking with Chad Pergram. You talked about the fact that it's likely going to pass out of the House, and then it's going to go to the Senate. What does it look like in the Senate before it would reach the president's desk, should they be able to pass it?
Yeah, well, the one thing that they need to do is get over a filibuster. And in the Senate, you have a couple of different clocks that start to run. And you can get around those clocks pretty quickly if you have an agreement of all 100 senators. But if you have somebody like Mike Lee, Republican of Utah, who says, I'm going to gum up the works because I don't like this, or Rand Paul, who has said, I have a proposal here. He said, I at least want to vote on my plan, which is something that's an alternative to the current package, and at least a time agreement, meaning you say, okay, we're going to consider this for X number of hours, whatever that might be. That does slow up the process a little bit, but you have to get 60 votes to overcome a filibuster. Mitch McConnell, the minority leader, is for this. He has signaled as such. John Thune, some of his other leaders, they're for this. So you probably have a coalition. There's going to be some attrition from some liberal Democrats too, but again, you could get probably well over 60 votes for this in the Senate as well. It's just a question of when.
Chad Pergram with us right now, the senior congressional correspondent for Fox News. Before we let you go, you talked about if they don't, then we could default, and there's a lot of people who don't want that as well. How much does that fire burn if we get to the point where we don't pass the debt ceiling in time, we run out of money? What happens next?
Well, this is where Treasury a few days ago, I think it was last Friday, put out a statement as to what bills were actually due to be paid on the 1st and 2nd of June, and said that they would start to pay those. But beyond that, it was anybody's guess. There was something that was put together by the Bipartisan Policy Center which put out an analysis of what they thought the daily inflow was going to be, meaning that you have cash coming in the door and, payments going out the door. And on Thursday, June 1st, now this was put out by the Bipartisan Policy Center before Treasury made its announcement. It said that the Treasury would take in revenue a grand total of $21 billion. What was due to be spent that day, Medicare payments, veterans benefits, military pay, civil service retirement, $101 billion in spending was scheduled to go out the door. So you see the discrepancy. So that's how very easily you could get into this problem of not paying the bills and defaulting on things, and this is where Wall Street and the markets and interest rates and everything else would go spiraling out of control if they don't address this in a timely fashion.
Before we let you go, the partnering and the coming together of Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Joe Biden, there's a lot of criticism for the president for not coming to the table sooner or more aggressively. Have the two men who have come together to have this conversation been able to work this out, or was it more of their teams who were doing it? How'd that go?
It was certainly with their teams. But the principals have to be able to sell it. And ultimately, guess what? So far, they have. I don't know that this was a huge breakthrough. They didn't have a tremendous relationship before this. They just didn't know each other, hadn't worked together on a lot of things. President Biden, when he was vice president for President Obama, worked on a debt ceiling package with the minority leader now in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, some years ago. This was in the summer of 2011. So Joe Biden has a little bit of history in this, but there has been criticism from both sides that maybe the president should have come to the table a long time ago. That said, nothing in Washington seems to ever get done before the absolute deadline, and maybe President Biden knew that a long time ago and said, well, why should I, start negotiating if we're not going to get anywhere, weeks and weeks and weeks of this. Maybe you could have done that just for window dressing. The other issue is that, the Republicans in the House had not passed a bill. And so I think that the president was waiting to see if they could pass a bill. They did. And as soon as they did, and while that might have handcuffed Kevin McCarthy just a little bit, it did get everybody to the table and help facilitate the process.
Yeah, we sure are seeing with a very slim majority, Kevin McCarthy still manages to get things done and move the ball down the field. The question is, how much will those voters like it and expand that majority in 2024? Chad Pergram, we're grateful for you. Thank you for giving us all of those details. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Chad Pergram, senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, with all of the details on the debt ceiling increase. I'm fascinated by this. I think that all of the politics that go into this and the jockeying that goes into this and the ability for a lot of these congressmen who might vote no on it to be able to go out and say staunchly that I'm going to vote no on this. It's not like it's not the same behind closed doors as it is out in the public for us to see. And there are going to be people the Republican Party is stronger if more people are represented. And if there are people who are voting for these congressmen and women to go to Capitol Hill and to negotiate in these things, politically speaking, you probably want some Republicans who are going to dissent on this and go out and say, this is ridiculous. And if we had more Republicans in the House right now, there's no way something like this would pass, blah, 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 blah. And then they use that for their campaigns going into 2024. And the Republicans will go look at the districts across the country that they think they can win. And they'll say, this is the district that we need to win so that we don't have to take, these bad deals with the Democrats. We need a bigger majority to be able to get more work done. And they're right about it. I think that people look at the political landscape and you become disgusted by it, as you probably rightfully should, because what seems obvious and seems easy to you seems like nonsense to the guy who's across the aisle. Go back to how this country was founded. Go back to what the founding fathers were departing from when they laid the groundwork for this country. This is not supposed to be simple. It's not supposed to move quickly. It's supposed to be glacial. You have 435 members in the House of Representatives. I mean, have you ever gotten 20 people together in the family to try to decide where to go to eat? It takes you a minute. And there's always two people who aren't happy. And there's always the two people who make most of the decisions for the family. And everybody in between kind of goes, okay, I guess we'll go to that restaurant. And then there's two people who scowl and grumble and all this stuff. But they end up going. It doesn't mean they're happy about it. They might even voice their opinions about it. But you get fed and you move on. And if you want to eat at your restaurant the next time, you're going to have to lobby some people in your family to say, you know what? I don't want to go to Mexican this time. I want to have Italian. Let's have Italian. And then you make your case. And then maybe the next time you're eating Italian. It's the way things work. This country is set up so that the most people get to have a say in the decisions that are made with the money they take out of your pocket. This is all about spending your money. This whole conversation is about spending your children and your grandchildren's money. I heard it was either today or yesterday, and I hope I get this figure correct, but I heard that once repayments start for student loans, we will add in $6 billion, I think it was a month. In payments that are just not being made right now. They haven't been made since COVID, Hannah. That's a lot of money that people borrowed from the government. And if you borrow the money from the government doesn't make any money. They only take money. So if you're borrowing money from the government says, here's a loan, go get an education. They have to take that money from somebody to give it to you. And they do that through taxing you. So you tax the American people, you collect this money, and then you got this big pot of money. And the government in Congress, and specifically the House of Representatives, who has the power of the purse, gets to say, we've got this pot of money. What's the best way to spend it for the American people? The safety, the security, the preservation of the American people. And then they come up with a bunch of bologna sausage and some things that are very important, like taking care of our elderly and defending the national security of the country, which is kind of laughable when you look at our southern border. Maybe we could do a little bit better of a job of doing that. But then also giving super low interest rate loans to people who want to get college educations in liberal studies, so that they can go get jobs that pay them $30,000 a year, and they have six figures of debt because they went to a state school and it cost them six figures of money that they took from a taxpayer-funded loan from the government. And then when you go back and you say, no, you don't have to pay this back, and in fact, while you don't have to pay it back, we're going to try to put in place an opportunity for you to, that $10,000 total of what bigger for other people, we're going to say 10,000 of that, you don't even have to pay the taxpayer back. They say the government. You don't have to pay the taxpayer back for that, because why should you have to do that? You took out a loan and times are hard. It's been rough. You were young. You didn't even know what you were doing. It's a scam. It's a total scam. The idea that universities and colleges should be anything other than employee and employer factories, where we input young people, teach them how to make money and be independent, and spit them out on the other end so they can go get jobs that cause them to be self-sustaining, or even better, to be people who create things in this great country, fueled on capitalism, create things, take risks, reach out to try to succeed. Maybe you fail along the way, but we've got a system in place for people who want to dream big. You go out and you create a scenario where other people might become employed by you. Or you go to college, you get told how the world is out to get you. You get told that everywhere you've come from is riddled with bigotry, that you are one or the other, a victim or a victimizer, and you have penance to pay. And your job, which is what we're supposed to be going to college to get, your job is not to become an independently sustaining person who can pay for the lifestyle and live within their means. What your real job is to pay the penance. And to remind everybody else out there who we haven't been able to educate yet, your job is to take that mindset into the real world and impart it on people. And then you watch marketing execs, advertising execs get hired by Bud Light. And their job is to take a problematic brand. I cannot stress enough how much Bud Light's protest is not about Dylan Mulvaney. There are a lot of people who are not drinking Bud Light right now who have no problem with Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney does not affect their life. Dylan Mulvaney does not affect the beer that they have in their hand. The problem is with that ad executive who went on a podcast and so arrogantly, so obnoxiously said to the world what was so wrong, not just with Bud Light. You can't just put this on Bud Light. It's on the people who drink it. The problem with Bud Light isn't the beer, it's with the people who drink the beer.
I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light. And it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time. And if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. So I had this super clear mandate. It's like, we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in, okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men.
Do not sleep on what she just said there. She says what she brought to this dying brand was a belief. This is religion. This is spiritual for these people. She said the belief for her meant inclusivity. That is their mode of worship. This is religion to them, and they will proselytize across the country in any position that they get spit out of these colleges and universities with this new mindset. Your job is not to make money to feed your family. Your job is to spread the good news. And the good news of this woke church of inclusivity is actually exclusivity. They cannot preach this gospel without quickly identifying who the bad people are, which is why the first thing she told you was that Bud Light was problematic and a dying brand. And this woman, the savior of Bud Light, was going to come in here and rectify the whole situation by reminding everybody how they really are and maybe informing them for the first time who they really are. That is the problem, Bud Light. That is the problem, Target. Every other type of big corporation who's hiring these people without understanding that the investment that is being made into these employees is not to make your brand sell more beers. It's to permeate culture, because that's the mission. That's the church. It is blasphemous. And it's also not a good marketing strategy. Just sell good beer. Just sell swimsuits. Just do what you do and do it well, and stop hiring people who want to do anything other than positively affect your bottom line by exposing your brand to people in a way that shows what that product or service does. We're going to talk a little bit more about the boycott culture that is upon us. Is it cancel culture? Is it boycott culture? Is it boycott culture? What is it? Weekends America hits on it when we come back.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
So nervously to me and my drink.
Jen Teskey with Remax Alliance, 618-541-1010. That's the number to call her or text her if you're looking to buy or sell in the Metro East. Jen Teskey is fantastic. She is light and energy. And when she is showing people your home, she is selling your home. She is so incredible at what she does. And when you put somebody in that situation where they need to take your home, sell it for top dollar, and list it in a way that is going to attract people to your listing above everybody else's, especially in the world that we live in right now, the market, what is the market doing? What are mortgage rates and interest, blah, blah, blah. What is all going on? You don't need to understand all of it on your own when you have the power of RE/MAX Alliance's Jen Teskey in your corner and her whole team in your corner. She is going to sell your home at top dollar. And if you're thinking about doing it in the near future or even within the next year, she's a phone call or a text away. Get the conversation started today. 618-541-1010. 618-541-1010. JenTeskeyHomes.com.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, Tom's nephew. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you?
Retire with confidence for the past 36 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm John Rooney. Do you have an old car that's taking up room in the driveway? Repairs are costly and selling is a hassle? That's why you should donate it to Goodwill. Donating is quick and towing is free. Plus, you get a tax receipt and 4 tickets to a Cardinals game, compliments of the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a win-win. For more information or to donate, visit online at mersgoodwill.org. Must mention Cardinals.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its
Have them come over and give you a free estimate. They take a lot of pride in what they do. They've been at this since 1968. This locally owned and operated for 55 years under the same ownership. If you need a new fence, they've got great wood cedar fences or low-maintenance vinyl fences. They can also do aluminum, steel, and chain link. For the decks, the beautiful natural cedar decks, or even Vecadec vinyl decking, that is no maintenance and beautiful colors, espresso, hazelnut. Go take a look. Visit their showroom down in the Chesterfield Valley. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Again, 636-532-4054, chesterfieldfence.com.
Mark Reardon sees clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Maholtred Ophthalmology Associates. You can too. Go to yourEyeDoc.com today. That's yourEyeDoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
We are so close to 1,500 followers on our Annie Frey Show page. Instagram, I would love if you went over there and gave us a follow at the Annie Frey Show. That would mean so much to me. The time is 12:50. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
AnnieFrey.com.
You could be watching this right now. Tune into the Annie Fry Show live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitch. You know what? Just type in Annie Fry Show live stream. This is the Annie Fry Show.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins!
It's kind of jarring.
It is. It's a bit jarring. The whole thing was jarring. Because even the song itself makes you feel like you need to be walking in slow motion with lace behind you. And then my
Right?
opening...
I guarantee you that the majority of 50-year-old men out there like you, that wasn't their vision.
There's a lot of there's a lot of
Yeah,
lies in that sentence. I
We
can't
keep
even
telling
begin
you,
to...
this is not the appropriate place for your lace. Just
Well,
keep showing up.
Regardless, let's talk about...
If anybody is listening and they have some really high-quality lace and you want to send it to Ryan Wiggins, I would support that.
If you have anything that looks like it might be made of doilies,
That's not lace.
but it looks real lacy.
That's like crochet.
Well, maybe, but that's what I think. That's how much I know about the topic. Not a lot. I mean, I just don't know.
Well,
I'm a
what
guy,
you're
I don't
always
know.
wearing here is lace. I'm telling you that. That's
Today I'm
different.
not. Today I'm wearing my Fed hat.
You got 4 minutes.
So let's talk about boycotts because there's a couple new ones that are popping up that I wanted to point out. The Hill is reporting that news of Chick-fil-A having a vice president of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, has some conservative groups calling for a boycott. The fast food giant has been a favorite among many over the years due in large part to its religious roots and its sporadic, and remember, this is the Hill saying this, financial support of anti-LGBTQ organizations. It's the way they frame it, of course. But this announcement of Eric McReynolds, VP of DEI, that actually happened in 2020 but went largely unnoticed, is now making the rounds on Twitter and elsewhere. According to Chick-fil-A's DEI page, which does exist, its initiative hopes to focus on promoting equal access to opportunities, valuing differences, and, quote, creating a culture of belonging, which you just kind of went over in the last segment of how it really does the opposite when you hyper-focus on different groups. It does the opposite of creating belonging. It's, by its nature, exclusionary.
Yeah.
Another
And
one, though.
real preachy.
Yes. Thank you. And when you were talking about Target just now, I think it resonated with a lot of...
Fit?
Let's not talk about that. Or I brought up the lace, and that's my fault. The swimsuit stuff, that's yours. When you were just talking about Target, though,
Too many jokes.
a lot of people getting online and saying, yes, 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 it really resonates with them. Please just stay out of the culture wars. I was likening it as I'm standing out there waiting to come in. You know how when you walk in the summer into a store and all of a sudden that air conditioning just hits you?
Yeah.
And you go, whoa. That's what it feels like when you walk into stores and it's like, I came in here for deodorant and now I have to be socially conscious. Bam! Right when you walk in the door. And people usually just go, why? I just want to get sunscreen and I want to leave. But the other one that I wanted to highlight in this segment that people are calling for boycotts, of course, is another brand name company. This is from the New York Post, facing backlash over LGBTQ merchandise and promotions. PetSmart is boasting about its all-new You Are Loved collection of 2023 Pride-themed pet clothing.
I am not boycotting PetSmart.
Do you shop at PetSmart?
No.
This will be easy for you then. Toys and other items for pet owners that are Pride-themed. The collection unveiled just ahead of June's Pride Month includes rainbow-hued items such as dog bikinis.
We can't. Okay.
Yeah.
Did that one fit?
Come on now.
We can't. Guys and gals, we cannot be sitting here on May 31st and being like, no, PetSmart's doing Pride stuff. June has been Pride Month for a long time. I mean, I think it's probably going on 6 years that Pride Month has been a really big deal.
It's been a big corporate thing for a long time.
And then you go, wait until the stories come out. They're all going to come out where you're going to have Nike, maybe as an example, is going to change all of their thumbnails on social media to be rainbow versions. But go look at their Nike pages in like Saudi Arabia. They don't change them there.
Yes, exactly.
Because they don't care. Because it's about the bottom line. They think that their rainbow overlay of their thumbnail on social media is going to make you buy their shoes. It's just about money.
That's why this is important, and it's why it's important to do it right and let's not go crazy here. I think that's the point of what I'm saying, is that I've got another article here I wish I could dig into.
We can do it more at 1:45.
That is about how it's a former Anheuser-Busch executive talking about the success of this whole campaign. Now, he doesn't work there anymore, but he goes into a lot of the stock issues and how this thing is playing out behind the scenes that we, as the average person, may not see. But I think, thesis of the whole thing is that it seems very, very important let's not go crazy and just boycott everything. Babylon Bee article, conservative man has reportedly boycotted every single company with ties to woke political ideology and now resides alone in a cave with his Goya beans and MyPillow.
Oh, man, I want to say no sugar.
But it's important to stay, no pun intended, targeted or focused on just one or two at a time, because the ripple effects, they go out. We can't go crazy. It's impossible to do it all.
I think the swimsuit didn't fit well.
We will also talk about that at 1:45.
Ah, yes.
Preview. I did not try on anything that you told me to try on.
He didn't try it on because
But I would try on a lace doily outfit.
Did you know she's never heard of A, James Vanderbeek, or
I couldn't
B,
believe
Dawson's
that.
Creek?
I couldn't believe
Every once in a while, it's
Dawson's
like, yeah,
Creek.
she's 21. That makes sense. But that one kind of
But
stunk.
to never have heard of it. I guess
No
you've
idea.
never seen
And
it.
I said, Joey, Katie Holmes. She's like, oh, that was the relevant piece of that puzzle. Deroy Murdock and Chadwick more when we come back.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
One of the best things about calling Fountains Family Dentistry is that they will work with your schedule. I hear more than anything else when I talk about all the different facets of going to Fountains Family Dentistry in Fairview Heights, Illinois. People really say, oh, I love that they are open early on some days and late on some days, because they know your schedule is widely different than everybody else's. Some people are up early, working early. Some people work late. And so they have different days that they're available to you for your schedule. Fountains Family Dentistry is in Fairview Heights. You give them a call, 618-622-1800, and they will get you in whatever works best for you. You'll talk to Steve. He will work with your insurance or your lack of insurance if you don't have it, and make sure that you're getting what you need. Usually that's just a cleaning. Go in for the cleaning and then see if there's anything else that they can do for you. I highly recommend those sleep medicine, those sleep apnea mouth retainers at night. They have helped me so much, but they do everything there. Make them your home. Fountains Family Dentistry in Fairview Heights, Illinois, fountains.familydentistry.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Give and take with Ukraine. Elisa Brady, Fox News. The Biden administration says the U.S. won't tell Ukraine how to conduct a war. This after drone strikes in Moscow that Russia blames on Ukraine.
Ultimately, President Zelensky and his military commanders decide what they're going to do from a military perspective. And they decide what they're going to do with the equipment that has been provided to them and that they now own.
But National Security Council spokesman John Kirby also reiterates they've been clear with the Ukrainians. The U.S. does not support or encourage attacks inside Russia. The House votes later today on the deal to cut spending and suspend the debt limit, and the president is hopeful.
President Biden says he believes things are moving in the right direction for a debt limit increase bill negotiated with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
McCarthy.
I'll be landing in Colorado tonight in preparation for my commencement speech at the Air Force Academy tomorrow. And God willing, by the time I land, the Congress will have acted, the House will have acted, and we'll be one step closer.
The measure extends the borrowing limit beyond next year's elections with spending caps and new requirements for welfare programs. Dozens of conservative Republicans and progressive Democrats have signaled no votes over concessions made by both parties. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
One Republican lawmaker is resigning. Utah Congressman Chris Stewart, citing his wife's health concerns, and his exit could have a significant impact.
The six-term lawmaker says in a statement, quote, "It has been one of the great honors of my life to serve the good people of Utah in Congress." Stewart's resignation will reduce Republicans' majority in the House to just 4 seats, with the number of bills passed this Congress by just a few votes.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill. A special election will be held for the district where Stewart won re-election with 63% of the vote last year. America is listening to Fox News.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Come on, we're gonna be late to the cookout.
I was just packing up my famous mac and cheese.
I hope you packed the Pepto, too.
Huh?
Pepto-Bismol provides fast relief from heartburn and indigestion. You know, that uncomfortable feeling after you eat too much. And after the deviled eggs, baked beans, and barbecue ribs, you're gonna need it.
Barbecue ribs? I should probably pack an extra shirt, too.
Good call.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Partly sunny skies with us as we go through our Wednesday afternoon. Maybe a spot thunder shower here and there, but very limited and actually quite hard to find. 89 for the high. Tonight, a spot evening thunder shower. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies, 68. Thursday and Friday, partly sunny skies. Each day, 89, but a better chance of scattered thunderstorms around Thursday and Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
We trust companies to do what's right, but when they don't, there's Onder Law, making a difference, one case at a time.
Call Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618-9 million.
The wait is over. Golden Oak Lending announces that we have dropped our mortgage rates to the lowest they've been all year.
If you've thought about purchasing a home or getting cash out to wipe out debt, you can now benefit from Golden Oak's low 5.25% rate.
Credit card rates are at an all-time high. Don't pay over 25% in interest.
Call 314-567-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
NMLS 114937. 5.25% fixed, 5.928% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit.
Max is the streaming service for every mood. Today you're feeling like Khaleesi, the mother of dragons.
I was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms.
Tomorrow you may feel like Harry Potter.
Expecto Patronum!
Sometimes you feel a little grouchy.
And I love being grouchy.
Or you feel like an adventure.
I'm on my way to Flavortown!
And sometimes you just need a laugh with friends.
Pivot! Pivot!
No matter what mood you're in, Max has it all. Max, the one to watch. Subscription required. Visit Max.com.
Hey, Father's Day is coming up, and let's face it, Dad can be hard to shop for, but you know what Dads really like? Steak. Omaha steaks are amazing, and the experts there have made it very easy to put a smile on Dad's face this Father's Day. Head on over to omahasteaks.com, use the promo code FMTalk at checkout, and get $30 off your qualifying order. You can choose from bacon-wrapped fillets, air-chilled boneless chicken breasts, burgers, jumbo franks, and more. And if Dad has a sweet tooth, I know I do, most gift packages come with 4 delicious caramel apple tartlets. Omaha steaks equal the world's best beef, naturally aged for the ultimate in juiciness and flavor. Think about Dad opening up a delicious package from Omaha Steaks on Father's Day. Every steak and every entree is flash frozen, vacuum sealed, and ready for Dad to love whenever he's hungry. And let's face it, he'll probably share. It's all backed by an unconditional 100% money back guarantee. Place your order today at omahasteaks.com. Use that promo code FMTalk at checkout to get $30 off your order. 5 generations of family-owned expertise means uncompromising quality you can trust. Minimum order required. Head to omahasteaks.com today.
Losing weight's not easy, and everybody knows that. It's difficult, and you need somebody to help you through that process to make sure that your goals are on track. Slim 180 is there to help you with this process. If you go to myslim180.com, you'll see that they have a variety of different plans that you can sign up for. Figure out what works for you. When you sit down with a counselor at Slim 180, they're going to talk to you about how they can help you. They can give you the nutritional guidance that you need with one-on-one counseling, individualized attention. They help each of their clients own their goals and achieve those goals. There have been a ton of Annie Frey Show listeners who have partnered with Slim 180 to shed the pounds. It might be just 20 pounds. A lot of people put on the COVID-19, if you know what I mean. Instead of losing weight and being active during that time, a lot of people stayed inside and put on some weight, and now you want to get it off. Summer's here, and if you want to lose weight and get healthy, that's what this is all about. Get the energy back that you need in your life. Slim 180 can get you there. Reach out to them online and mention Annie when you do to save. Go to myslim180.com.
If you're a business owner, you know how important security is when it comes to your confidential email. Mark Cox here from my friends at myemailservice.com. Chances are if you use public email, it's not giving you the security and the privacy you need for your business. Myemailservice.com gives you unmatched security, and they'll keep your information secure and protected. Plus, you get fast local service for any issues. Go to myemailservice.com or call 314-216-2040.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Don't suffer from spring allergies when Air Comfort Service has solutions to remove up to 99% of allergens. Improve your indoor air quality and get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Most Democrats do not want Joe Biden to seek a second term. And I have a question for President Biden today. Why do you want the job? No one else seems to want you to keep that job.
Fox News' Kellyanne Conway talking about President Biden and the fact that there's not really a lot of excitement behind the potential for a second term for the president of the United States. And then you pivot to the Republican side and you go, wow, there's a lot of options over there. One of them announced just maybe a week ago Monday, Tim Scott, senator from South Carolina. He has an incredibly compelling story, and it's one that the Democrats seem to hate. Let's talk to our friend Deroy Murdock about it. Nationally syndicated columnist and Fox News contributor, founding member of Project 21. Deroy, thanks for being here with us today. We appreciate it.
Oh, Annie, it's always great to be with you.
You know, when Tim Scott announces that he's running for president, if all that changed was the R to the D, be a really, really big deal for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, if he had a D next to his name, people would be applauding the fact that this man who started off in a home with a single mother, father disappeared early, pretty low-income neighborhood in North Charleston, South Carolina. And he was actually not a very good student in high school until I believe he met a mentor from Chick-fil-A who somehow got him to focus on schoolwork. He then went on to finish college, go to the insurance business, make some money there, and then run for local office, ran for State House, then U.S. House of Representatives, and eventually was appointed U.S. Senate. There's a vacant seat, and then won it handily himself. The left would be doing cartwheels, saying this is wonderful, American dream, more broken, more ceiling glass shattered, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he has an R next to his name, so none of that applause, none of those cartwheels. Instead, you get people saying that he's, Uncle Tim is an Uncle Tom. That was a man by the name of Ed Hull, who's a so-called or self-proclaimed progressive attorney and Democrat. Joy Behar, the ever-reliable Joy Behar on The View, said that citing systemic racism. She said Tim Scott, quote, doesn't get it. Neither does Clarence Thomas. That's why they're Republicans. And all the usual brickbats and name-calling and dismissing him, not just as someone with whom they disagree, but someone who is a race traitor who's betrayed black people, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, you put an R next to his name and the story changes completely.
Well, as I said, you're a Fox News contributor, you're a nationally syndicated columnist. Many people know you, Deroy Murdock, but there are people listening right now who may not have been able to see you on television. You're a black man. You give us your conservative ideas every week here on the Annie Frey Show. When you hear Joy Behar say that Tim Scott and Clarence Thomas, they don't understand systemic racism, and that's why they're Republicans, it makes me ask the question, Deroy, how successful is a black person allowed to be in this country for Joy Behar to allow them to have their own political ideology?
If they're Republican, not at all. And for it's amazing to hear Joy Behar say that Clarence Thomas in particular has no understanding of systemic racism. He grew up in the Jim Crow South. He actually had an outhouse behind his home. He didn't have any running water until I think he was well into his teen years. And he grew up in the South when they had segregated lunch counters, segregated bus stations, water fountains, etc. So he's not an alien to that experience. And I don't think Tim Scott quite suffered from that directly, but he has many times has spoken about being pulled over on the side of the road by suspicious cops. He apparently tried to walk into the U.S. Senate building, one of the Senate buildings, and maybe didn't have his ID. I'm not sure exactly what the exact circumstances were, but he was stopped and asked lots of questions. And I thought, who's this black guy coming in here? Oh, well, he happens to be a U.S. Senator. And that, the fact is one of 100 most powerful legislators in our upper legislative body. That wasn't enough to keep him from having being met with suspicion when he tried to get into the U.S. Senate building. So these both have experienced discrimination, racism, unusual looks, whatever you want to call it, much more than Joy Behar has. And how she is the arbiter of what is and is not suffering of racism by black men is kind of a mystery to me.
I'm looking through this article that you have out right now, and it's entitled Dems Vile Attacks Ignore Content of Tim Scott's Character to Focus on Color of His Skin. Here's an example that you cite from MSNBC's Tiffany Cross. Tiffany said that Scott is a token, a tap dancer, and someone whom Harriet Tubman would have left behind. Now, if you're somebody who is looking at the current state of our country, and Joe Biden, who is very formally said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black, and you're looking at Joe Biden going, well, I voted for you, and this is not really a situation that's working out the best for my family, so I'd maybe like to consider my alternatives. It seems to me like there is a huge pressure campaign that consistently exists to keep black people quiet from, even if they think differently, from speaking out differently.
Correct. And it's never presented in the sense of, look, Tim Scott's views on taxes are too pro-market, or maybe he really should be more in favor of a more generous social welfare approach. I mean, you can have serious debates about that. It's ad hominem. It's disgusting. It's nasty. It's revolting. You can say, I disagree with Tim Scott's views on public policy, and it would be much better if he embraced policy X, Y, or Z. That's one thing. But to say that he's someone Harriet Tubman would have left behind, if he were a slave, Harriet Tubman would have looked at him and said, no, you can stay in slavery while I take these other people to freedom in the North. That is one of the most revolting, despicable, stomach-turning things you could say to a black American. And this from people on the left who always say, oh, we want more civil discourse, and Trump is so mean, and oh, he's such a bully. And to make that kind of a comment to a black person, that if we were still in slavery, Harriet Tubman would leave you in slavery rather than liberate you and put you on the Underground Railroad north to freedom. I mean, I can't think of anything much more despicable than you could say to a black person than that. And that's the kind of verbal abuse that black conservatives and black Republicans have to tolerate in this country these days. Not from the right, but from the left.
Yeah, your word in the article is revolting, and that is very appropriate. You've also cited in here an experience that Larry Elder had, who he was referred to as, by the LA Times, the black face of white supremacy. That's inverted. I don't even understand that. But he said that he was asked, you and Tim Scott are both black Republicans. What distinguishes you from him? What kind of question is this? Like, why are these people saying these things out loud and just pausing and waiting for a response?
Yeah, Larry Elder's response is great. He said, in response to the journalist who asked that question, he said, "You and Jeb, would you have said to Trump back in 2016, you and Jeb Bush are both white Republicans. What distinguishes you from him?" And he said their silence was deafening. And this is really truly the racist approach of people on the left, both black and white. And that is, if you're a white politician, white Democrat or white Republican, they will say, look, I love your public policy, or gee, I don't like your public policy, and you have a terrific view on spending, you have a terrible view on taxes, whatever it might be. But nobody ever says Joe Biden is a bad white person because he favors natural gas stove bans, or Donald J. Trump is a terrible white person because he wants to maintain low corporate taxes or low personal taxes. They can disagree with those views and say, look, supply side economics are crazy, or this new neo-socialism we're having here is terrible. But nobody's ever going to attack those guys on the basis of the violating the needs or the rights or the lives of white people. Nobody ever attacks them for being insufficiently white or the wrong kind of white person. Only if you're black do they attack you on your race. And don't just say, look, your ideas are bad, but you're betraying your race. This is a racist approach based on looking at these guys and judging them based on their skin color, which is the dictionary definition of racism, and it's something perpetrated over and over and over again by the Democratic left.
Well, we have to identify, and we have very clearly here in this Daily Caller article that you have, I'm going to share it, and because people need to read all of the different instances that you've laid out very plainly for people to consume. We identify what the problem is. There is a completely unfair playing field for black people, according to the Democrat Party, to think and feel from themselves based on their own life perspectives. That's as if that perspective that you have is predetermined based on your skin color, which is the opposite of what Martin Luther King Jr. wanted to have for this country. The Republicans need to learn from this, though. And while we have an incredibly diverse group of candidates running for the presidency right now, that clearly is being used against them based on what you've articulated here, how do the Republicans, how do conservatives react to what is the reality, what is true, and combat this type of racism that's coming from the left?
I think we have to stop being scared to address this issue and address it directly and say that the Democrat Party is now the party, is and has been the party of racism. This is the party that protected slavery. This is the party that began the Civil War in the South. This is the party of the KKK, the party of Jim Crow, the party of guard dogs, police dogs, and fire hoses in the South. These are all Democrats. Jim Crow was written and enforced by Democrats, and now today, following along in the footsteps of George Wallace and Orville Faubus and folks like this, the Democrats are still holding black people down by saying, no, you can't have school choice. You got to go to that rotten school. You can't learn anything. And by the way, the pro-criminal policies the Democrats are perpetrating, the people who suffer primarily are black victims. The folks who get robbed, beaten, raped, killed tend to be minorities more than they're white folks, more than they are white people. And the Democrats are the ones pushing all this, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves. At every given opportunity, they should be removed from power, voted out of office, and the Republicans should say this openly, directly, and forcefully, and repeatedly, and constantly, rather than say, well, I'll hold my head down, and I'm white, I better not say anything, or I might get canceled. These people are coming after us, literally, we saw last week, with machetes, and our responses should not be to respond with waving Q-tips at them.
Yeah, the Republicans have to get in the game and aggressively so and be able to say who they are and what they stand for and go to the places that they may never have gone before and get that message out there to be heard, because there definitely is an interest for an alternative to what the Democrats, the oldest, whitest guy in the land, like I said, who leads the Democratic Party right now. It's kind of amazing.
Exactly correct.
Deroy, thank you. We love having you on the show. Appreciate you.
Okay, Annie. Great to be with you. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Bye-bye. Nationally syndicated columnist, Fox News contributor, and founding member of Project 21, a great organization. You should check it out. We're going to take a quick break. Interesting guest when we come back. Have you heard of Chadwick Moore? He is the author of Tucker, columnist and contributing editor at The Spectator, editor-in-chief of Outspoken, and he used to be a regular guest on, you might be familiar with that show, Tucker Carlson Tonight, that no longer exists. He has a book coming out in July, and he was following Tucker Carlson while Tucker was still on the show. He was following Tucker and figuring out all the things that people might be interested about the background of Tucker Carlson and his widely successful show. Well, this book is coming out in July, and Chadwick Moore, the author, is going to be on with us when we come back. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Michael's Flooring Outlet online at michaelsflooringoutlet.com or igotfloored.com. Shopping for flooring is very exciting once you have made that decision. Yep, time for the old flooring to go, new flooring to be put in. There is very few better ways to revive your home and the life in your home than to install that beautiful new floor. If you've researched what you want it to look like, and a lot of times I think that people want to go from carpet to a hardwood look. There's a lot of different technology that exists in flooring. There is the Techwood Select and Plus, natural visuals that come on the planks that you're going to lay down in your home. They have a dimensional stability, long-lasting finishes. The Techwood Plus brand has wider and longer planks, which gives you the cleaner grades that you might be looking for in your home. Also, there's hardwood. Hardwood takes a little maintenance, but it's beautiful and it's natural looking. Whatever your goal is, when you go into Michael's Flooring Outlet and you speak with people who are flooring experts, they walk you through your options and help make sure that your budget and your expectations are met, and therefore your satisfaction is met. Shop online at igotfloored.com.
If you're looking at new windows for your house, choose wisely. Mark Cox here for my friends at Window World. You want to go with a company you can trust. Ranked number one in the number of windows sold in the country. That's according to Qualified Remodeler magazine. In just over 20 years in business, they've improved the look and obviously the thermal efficiency of over 70,000 customers in St. Louis. They're going to give you a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts and the glass breakage and the labor. It's a good product. Call them at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate. That's 314-993-1800. Window World won the Good Housekeeping Seal of Approval. That's not easy. They rely on the expertise of their in-house engineers and their analysts and their product experts to give that seal of approval. That should matter to you as well. Call for your free estimate right now. Simply the best for less at Window World. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Today, we are asking you to grade Speaker Kevin McCarthy's job performance so far. Would you give him an A, a B or a C, a D, or an F? You can cast your vote on the Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll. The time is 1:25. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
McCarthy.com.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
I went down to the crossroads, fell down on my knees. I went down to the crossroads, fell down on my knees.
This is a good deal. I mean, it's a $2.1 trillion cut. It has permitting reform in it. It actually has a provision in it that's going to force the Senate for once to start working on appropriations bills. This is a good first step forward to trying to fix what's been broken in Congress.
Well, there's Congressman Tom Emmer, a Republican from Minnesota, talking about the bill that's going through House, the debt ceiling bill. If you want to listen to the conversation we had with Chad Pergram, who laid out the whole nuts and bolts, X's and O's of everything, we talked to him at 12:25 an hour ago, and you can rewind on the Odyssey app if you so choose and listen to all the details that he had. We're going to discuss that a little bit more here coming up on the show as well. I want to get to our next guest. I'm excited to speak with Chadwick Moore. He's the author of a book you might be interested in, coming out in July, I should say. I think you can pre-order it right now. Chadwick Moore joins us. He's a columnist and contributing editor at The Spectator. Chadwick, thanks for coming on the show with us today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, Annie, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Now, you have written a book that is coming out in a month, I suppose, here. People can pre-order it at this point in time. Is it tuckerthebook.com if people are interested in that?
That's right, tuckerthebook.com, and you can also find it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, anywhere that books are sold.
Fantastic. So, Tucker Carlson, as you know, probably more keenly than pretty much anyone else, you started writing this book when he was still on the air. Is that correct?
That's right. We started this over a year ago, and I'd actually finished in March. And then, of course, the news broke, and I've interviewed him a few times since he was kicked off the show on Fox, and updated the book and have some new chapters about that. But it's a biography about his life, and then also about the aftermath of what happened when he was kicked off Fox.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a very good selling book. I'm interested to read it. I think Tucker Carlson spoke to people in a way that you just don't really consume his approach and his take anywhere else. It was must-watch television for me every night, and I still dramatically miss being able to tune in and just hear what Tucker had to say. And the thing that I appreciated about him so much was the way that he would present things. Every night there were things that it was like he's taking the words out of my brain, but there were also things that he'd say that I was like, I don't know if I really agree with that, but that's because it was Tucker's opinion. And I'm wondering if he's bursting at the seams right now to get that thought process back out there, if you feel like he's going to stick the landing here.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He was appointment television for millions of people. People scheduled their entire evenings around watching his show, and since he's left, they've felt sort of a chasm in their lives. I think a lot of people have. And, he's very much, since I spoke to him, he's in high spirits. He has very high self-esteem. And, but he's really jonesing to get back to work. Like, he misses working. He wants to be talking and connecting again with his audience. And he can't do that right now. He's still an employee of Fox News as we speak. He's still under contract. He's being paid to not have a program. And what he wants more than anything is to get out of that as quickly as possible so he can start his new show back.
We're speaking with Chadwick Moore. He's the author of Tucker. You can go to tuckerthebook.com to learn how you can secure your copy of that book. And, you just mentioned here how you talked a lot about where Tucker comes from and his life and how he got to be the biggest show in cable news. What are the things that you think people, of course, if they read the book, they'll find out a lot more, but what are the things that maybe surprised you about where Tucker came from and how he got to that place?
Well, he has a really interesting childhood, very interesting childhood, and very interesting family. And his father, Dick Carlson, who's a really fascinating and colorful guy, I got to know him pretty well in writing this book. He was a journalist as well, and he and his son are very similar. But Tucker came from a long line of dysfunction and abandonment in both from his mother's side of the family and his father's side of the family. His mother was this California heiress. His dad was an orphan, and his mother abandoned the family when Tucker was just 6 years old, and he never saw her again after that. She died in 2011 without him ever seeing her again. She kind of wanted to be this like arty bohemian, kind of art world groupie kind of girl. She got into a lot of drugs and alcohol. And I think a lot of that, his childhood and his family history on both sides, and even his stepmother, his father remarried later, she had a lot of death and abandonment in her family. I think that really shaped a lot of who he is in terms of a human being, especially as a father and as a husband. But he's really someone that his interests are varied and deep, and they go well beyond politics. And I think that's made him into a very well-rounded, very stable person, and someone who's been uniquely equipped to handle his position in life, which is one which is very polarizing and attracts a lot of adoration and just as much hatred.
Chadwick Moore speaking with us, author of TuckerTheBook.com. I want to know what you think about Tucker Carlson's responsibility of representing a specific side of culture wars, because there's so much politics that is discussed, especially on cable news, and there's all this jockeying that takes place, and it's all about when my guy or my girl, my candidate gets elected, that's some sort of definitive win, but we tend to have the same problems that we are always litigating over and over and over, and we're just trying to win the next election. Tucker really pulled back from that, and he discussed the culture wars, and he called right front and center on the main stage in the spotlight some of the things that culturally are so key to the conversation taking place today. Do you think that is still being discussed because Tucker Carlson really made it a priority for Americans to look under a microscope at?
Yeah, it's a great observation and a great question, because he was really this force that came along at a perfect time where so many people were experiencing this shift in the political paradigm, and right and left don't mean the same things as they used to. Conservative and liberal, Democrat and Republican. It's our issues in this country have gone so much more beyond that. And Tucker Carlson was really such a vehicle for that and a voice for that. He spoke to so many people. I mean, there's a reason why there's a huge part of his audience was not your traditional Fox viewer and not your traditional cable news viewer. He had the highest number of Democrats, young Democrats, 18 to 49, of any show on cable. He also had a lot of ex-liberals who were in his audience and on guests on his show. A lot of people who he really tapped into this national tide of turning against, just D or R, and really looking at bigger issues of corruption, globalism, of issues in our culture. And it's one of the reasons why, Republican leaders feared him more than Democrat leaders, and many would refuse to go on his show because he would hold the right, put their feet to the fire even more than the left, because when he saw them, that they were doing things wrong or needed to be paying closer attention to issues other than they were.
Chadwick Moore with us right now. I want to ask you about the way that he might have. So I think some people would say he brought in the Republican Party. I think other people would say that he drove people away from the Republican Party, certainly. But if I'm assessing, just as a voter and as a keen observer of what's going on daily in the political jockeying that takes place, I'm looking at the Democrat Party and I see them like verbatim telling you, if you are this, you have to vote that. And if you are that, you have to say this. And if you don't say it out loud, then we know that you are the opposite, most hateful version of whatever that thing might be. And the Republican Party has a pretty broad tent right now. And I wonder if you think that culture has a lot to do with that, and if the Republican Party's views and platform right now does lend itself to a broader tent than what the left might be presenting.
Absolutely. And I think Tucker and Donald Trump, especially, are the two biggest figureheads of this opening up of the Republican Party, where more people who traditionally might not think of themselves as Republican or right-leaning do see themselves in those camps. Because I think they both, and especially Tucker, speaks to so many issues that go beyond just D or R, and especially he's calling out the uniparty itself. People are so sick of this monoculture in Washington and this beltway culture, and Tucker really despised that as well. It was like the tagline of the show, the sworn enemy of lying, hypocrisy, smugness, and groupthink. I think that is what connected mainly with his audience, and he's also just such an extremely talented guy. You know, he really spoke to people through the television, and it's certainly even if you just look at the media, you know, look at something like CNN and the way CNN operates. They have their meeting every morning where the president gets on the phone and says, these are all the stories we're covering today. They happen to look exactly like whatever's on the front page of the New York Times, and this is our angle. And every show that day has the same stories with the same angle. And Fox, love it or hate it, they at least would allow guests like or hosts like Tucker to set their own agenda. There was no network-wide agenda for the day and talking points for the day. And that's maybe just a reflection of the parties and the directions that they're moving in, where the right is becoming more open. It's more of a conversation, whereas the left is more authoritarian and lockstep.
Chadwick, before we let you go, you know Tucker Carlson on a personal level. Your book is coming out mid-July. You can pre-order it right now at tuckerthebook.com if you're interested in this. I want to ask you just an open-ended question so you can answer it however you think is appropriate. But what did you learn about Tucker Carlson in the process of getting to know him personally that maybe doesn't come through over the television?
I think that he is one thing I loved most about him was his love of nature, and you know he's kind of like a crazy environmentalist, but not like he loves the Grateful Dead. He doesn't wear socks or deodorant. He can sit around and talk about trees for like an hour. If you remember on his show, he would always have like animal segments. He would have like Greenpeace people on and PETA people. But in that, you know, he calls out the hypocrisy of the green movement and of the climate change crazy people, and how nothing that the climate change people and the government wants to do to fix the environment has anything to do with actually the environment. So that was sort of a wonderful thing, you know, because he really turns that narrative on its head that, you know, the right or conservatives want to destroy the planet. He's very connected to nature. It's a really important part of his life. And it's one of the reasons why he despises the climate change people so much, and by proxy, the left, since it's one of their biggest issues.
Yeah, big bureaucracy and money. It always ends up clouding the actual purpose of the thing that they're selling is often not the thing that they're actually manufacturing. Chadwick,
Exactly.
Chadwick, when we heard that, I think we've seen a couple videos. I have notifications on my phone in case Tucker tweets, just because I want to know exactly what happens when it happens. He's talked about coming to Twitter. Is there anything you can tell us about that announcement or what we might expect from Tucker Carlson next?
Sure. So Twitter is launching a new video service that's meant to compete with YouTube. So this is different than the service that Ron DeSantis did his announcement on, where there's a bunch of bugs on it, if people recall. So it's supposed to be called X Video, I believe. And the reason why this is so attractive to Tucker's team is that what I've heard, I haven't seen Tucker's contracts, but what I've been told is that for some reason, Fox News failed to include Twitter in its non-compete.
Oops.
So Tucker is actually able to legally do this. So, but also because Elon has taken over and it's a more attractive platform for that reason. But Tucker's team has told me that they, keep in mind, a lot of people left Fox because Tucker left, a lot of his team. They're that loyal to him. And they've told me that they don't feel committed. They're not employees of Elon Musk. They're going to try it out. If they like it, they'll stay. If not, they'll look for somewhere else to move on to.
Well, it's definitely something people will be sitting on the edge of their seat. And I was very excited to see the alternative announcement that Ron DeSantis made, trying something else and not giving the mainstream media the opportunity to do what everybody knows that they're going to do. And seeing Tucker give a new kind of life to the potential for this new platform. We're on YouTube here on this show, and we've had strikes. We've had to sit out, do the timeouts because we said things they didn't like, and there need to be more options. And I think that having Tucker associated with it will give it a huge jolt of energy. We're looking forward to it. And your book coming out in July. Chadwick Moore, thank you for the time today. We're grateful for it, and we wish you great success.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
You as well. Thank you so much. Chadwick Moore, author of Tucker. That's the book coming out, I believe, July 16th. I'm on the website at tuckerthebook.com. An inside look at one of the most beloved and polarizing media figures in history. Tucker. And the picture on the front of the book is one of those Tucker stairs. It's there.
Iconic.
Nobody can look into a camera and convey such, are you the stupidest person that has ever talked, than Tucker Carlson, or complete fascination with what the person is saying. Tucker Carlson has great faces. And one of them right there on the front of the book, Tucker by Chadwick Moore. And I'm really glad that he was willing to come on and talk to us about that. And I look forward to finding out more about Tucker Carlson's life. A lot of people talk about him being a silver spoon baby and all of this stuff. And if you do know a little bit about his life, It's not one that you would wish on other people to grow up in the circumstances that he did, but he has made quite a life for himself, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to do next. A quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little more cancel culture, a little more boycotting. Is that what conservatives are doing right now? How is what's taking place right now different than cancel culture? We want your feedback on that as well. Go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and watch us there and let us know in the live chat what you think. And let us know if you're going to buy that book. I'd be curious how many folks out there are interested to see where Tucker came from and where he might be going next. The YouTube live chat poll, grade Speaker Kevin McCarthy's job performance in the live chat portion of today's live broadcast. We'll be back. Wiggins in studio with us as well in a minute.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Ruler Foods is where you save on your groceries and you get great products. All the products you're getting at the regular store, you can get at Ruler Foods. They also have Kroger brands at Ruler Foods prices, so you know that the quality is there. Shopping at Ruler Foods is simple. The stores are well organized, very clean, very intuitive. When you walk through the store, you are going to feel at ease the first time you shop, figuring out where you get your staples and then watching the savings rack up. You'll be surprised how many groceries you can fit in that cart for $100. And I think that you'll be glad that you gave them the opportunity to win your business. If you haven't visited a Ruler Foods yet, now is the time to find the one that is located near you. When you go onto rulerfoods.com, there's an area you can put in your zip code. Click it and find the one that you want to shop at. You'll be surprised how many there are in the bi-state region, both Missouri and Illinois Ruler Foods, waiting for you to stop by and start saving. There are prices that are so low on particular items, we're not even allowed to tell you what those prices are. You just got to go in there and see it for yourself. You're going to have your jaw dropped, and you're going to be planning your next trip to Ruler Foods very soon. Find them online at rulerfoods.com.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orse and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw, Tom's nephew. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. Learn the strategies that have helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 36 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
This is a message for all St. Louis Metro homeowners. If you want to sell your house, but only the thought of it gives you a headache, Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis has great news for you. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can help you avoid any headache and will buy your house for cash in as-is condition, and you won't even have to do any repairs, cleaning, or paying any fees. Just call 314-782-8000 for a fast and easy solution and sell your house today. Chris buys all kinds of houses, inherited houses, vacant houses, fixer-uppers, and also beautiful houses. All you need to do is call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis at 314-782-8000 and let Chris take care of everything for you. Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, 314-782-8000.
for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AAMCO. If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Remember your childhood piggy bank and the satisfaction you felt finally reaping the rewards of your diligent savings? With TrueHold, you can access your biggest piggy bank, your home's equity, and start enjoying the retirement you plan for right now without having to move. Here's how. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value while home values are high. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. Plus, TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance too. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Start enjoying your home's equity while values are high. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to $7,500 on a new hybrid HVAC system and save an additional 20% when bundled with attic insulation. This is a limited time offer. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Not just right and left, right and wrong. We're discussing it every day on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Used to keep it cool, used to be a fool, all about the bounce in my step. Watch it on the news, what you gonna do? I could hit refresh and forget. Used to keep it.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Should I keep it light, stay out of the fight? No one's gonna listen to me. If I write a song, preaching what is wrong, will they let me sing on TV? Should I keep it light? Is that right?
Common weaknesses of the president. They say he make things up. They say he flies off the handle. For example, attacking Kayleigh McEnany is insane. She's one of the best press secretaries ever.
So Brian Kilmeade talking kindly about Kayleigh McEnany. What is he talking about? Here's the truth from. I hate saying that. It's not the truth.
Because it's definitely not.
He's really set it up that you have to say that, though.
Genius.
Yep.
This is a post on Truth Social, I'll rephrase, from Donald Trump last night. Kayleigh, milquetoast McEnany. Why? I can say Kayleigh McEnany in my sleep.
It's hard to say it with milk.
I was just going to say, when you put milquetoast in the middle, it becomes more difficult. Kayleigh milquetoast McEnany just gave out the wrong poll numbers on Fox News. I am 34 points up on DeSanctimonious, not 25 up. While 25 is great, it's not 34. She knew the number was corrected upwards by the group that did the poll. The rhinos and globalists can have her. Fox News should only use real stars! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! What the hell is he doing? Ryan, he's your boy.
Donald Trump is not a fan of Fox News. That's what he's doing. I don't think it has anything to do with Kayleigh McEnany. I think it has everything to do with the fact that she is aligned with Fox News and he's not.
It does, though.
Bomb dropped.
Here's the question I have for the Trumpers. And I am not a never Trumper. I will vote for him I mean, it might be the case that in Illinois, maybe Ron DeSantis is out of the race by the time it gets to the Illinois primary. I'll vote for Trump if he's the best guy. I've got no problem voting for him. But if I have options and I want someone who's going to win, I want someone who's going to fight to win. Why? I know you're laughing because I said that Trump isn't going to fight to win. It seems like he's trying to lose. Somebody sent that to me and said, what is he doing? And I said, losing.
I
He's
agree.
losing.
I mean, I gave you an explanation that I think is what's going on in Trump's mind. This is stupid.
It's so stupid.
It's unnecessary. But that is what he's doing. I mean, he does not like Fox News. Fox News is, it seems as if they have mostly moved toward DeSantis and they don't like him very much. But I'm speaking very broadly of an entire network.
Time out. Yeah, time out. DeSantis is likable. So the idea that Fox News, which is a conservative-leaning cable news outlet, would like Ron DeSantis, I've seen them fawn over Tim Scott. I've seen them fawn over Nikki Haley. I've seen them fawn over anybody who is essentially not Joe Biden. So when people say that they're pro DeSantis and they discount everybody else who's in the race, you have to pay attention to the fact that Fox News is giving a lot of airtime to Vivek. A lot of airtime to him. He's on there a lot. And if it weren't for Fox, Vivek Ramaswamy would be an unknown quantity in this race. Ron DeSantis is the one that Donald Trump a long time ago picked out as the only competition. So Donald Trump continues to attack Ron DeSantis. And if Donald Trump's still going, Donald Trump did an interview with Tucker Carlson. Donald Trump did an interview with Sean Hannity. He cannot pretend that he's going to win this race by making everybody cancel Fox News. That's not going to happen. We just interviewed Chadwick Moore, who wrote a book about Tucker. There's probably going to be some disparaging things in there about Fox News. I'm still interested in what happens to Tucker, and I still watch Fox News. And I still like Kayleigh McEnany a lot. I cannot take Donald Trump seriously, and I especially cannot take the army of stupid people that have been employed by the Trump campaign on Twitter, like the one that tweeted out today a whole list of things attacking Ron DeSantis. The Trump War Room retweeted a Ron DeSantis tweet. Christopher Frey is talented, capable, and highly respected. POTUS has made an inspired choice, and I look forward to working with Director Frey. Ron DeSantis, 7 June 2017. The Trump War Room retweets this and says, DeSanctimonious is now making a show of promising to fire FBI Director Christopher Frey, but DeSantis voted for Frey's confirmation in 2017, praising him as, quote, talented, capable, and highly respected. He was appointed by Donald Trump.
Most importantly.
He's Donald Trump's appointee.
Yeah.
So Ron DeSantis said that Christopher Frey in 2017, Ron DeSantis said that Christopher Frey is talented, capable, and highly respected of Donald Trump's nominee. B.
A is very important.
A is important. But it's also separate from the moronic tweet from the Trump War Room that says DeSanctimonious is now making a show of promising to fire FBI Director Christopher Frey, but DeSantis voted for Frey's confirmation. He was in the House. He didn't have a vote in the confirmation. It's not true. And I'm Jerry Seinfeld. Who knew? I don't even watch Seinfeld.
Who are these people? Well, Airline Peanuts is neither a pea nor a nut. He didn't have a vote. It was 2017.
Exactly. He was in the House. They don't vote on these confirmations. Can we please respect the Constitution just a little bit and know that that's not the case? And if you're going to have people tweet this crap out that's fundamentally and factually not accurate, I cannot take anything else seriously that comes from this account. This is it. I don't want to have to disparage Donald Trump, but I can't handle the game plan. I will promise you that from where I am sitting in this chair right now, behind this microphone, In 2 years, if Donald Trump has found his way back into the Oval Office by the will of the American people, it's going to be the most entertaining thing to ever happen to politics. This is good for my profession. It would be good for the country. First, it would be good for the country, be good for my profession. It would be good. He is not showing me that he can get there. He just isn't.
He just hasn't changed. I mean, this is the same stuff he was doing in 2015.
He has, but in 2015, people were like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, totally.
We know what he's doing. And it's not going to make people come to the ballot box and vote for him that haven't already. And it is going to make people who have options say, I might try something else. It's not how you win a general.
And back to your original point, why trash your own press secretary publicly who wasn't even throwing you under the bus?
No.
I mean, she wasn't doing anything. She was just citing a poll number. She cited the one he didn't want cited.
Can you imagine Kayleigh McEnany debating Donald Trump? I've never thought this thought before.
Well, I think we'd air it.
She'd bring the Donald Trump binder so that she brought to the press conference and be like, well, according to you, sir, slap that thing open. And she'd be like, pew, pew, pew with facts. And he'd be like, she's a terrible person.
You're being nasty.
And everybody who loves
Nasty
Donald
woman.
Trump would be like, he's right, though.
She is being a nasty woman.
We'll be right back.
Energy prices are skyrocketing. Regardless of what you believe is the reasoning for the skyrocketing prices, it doesn't matter. What does matter, it's crushing us. It's taking money off of all of our tables for food, clothing, entertainment. Life is tough. I'm not looking for anything for free, but this is crazy stuff. Now, that being said, do not overspend on so-called high efficient, energy efficient, or whatever the terminology, anything efficient. Nothing we make, nothing that we have to offer will combat these insane prices. So if you're in the market and your bills are just extremely high because they're failing, call me. It's one easy number. It's in Missouri and Illinois. There's only one number. Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600. Bart Inman, 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com.
There are times that I open up the website to Andrea's and I just sit and look at the menu and I go, ooh, when can I go back and eat this? They don't have a huge menu. That's one of the interesting things about Andrea's Steakhouse in Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois, is that you're not going to go there and have to flip through page after page because they specialize in steak and proteins like grilled chicken and beef Romanoff. Right now, I'm looking at a prime rib. I mean, this thing is like the size of your forearm if you've never had it. And with Andrea's sauce, you really are not going to get a better steak, but they have such specialty things too, like lobster tail, broiled salmon. They have lobster turnovers at times. I think they have them right now that are so good that I'm surprised that I've never had a turnover that good. I mean, they just make everything that good. So if you've never visited Andrea's Steakhouse in Fairview Heights, O'Fallon, Illinois, summer's a great time. They've got a patio. I mean, the place is beautiful outside of just great food. Great experience. Visit them or get their sauce at Schnucks or Deerbergs or Andreas.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. The former vice president is ready to run. Lisa Brady. Fox News confirming that former Vice President Mike Pence will announce a run for president next Wednesday in Des Moines, Iowa. The same day, the North Dakota governor is expected to launch his campaign for the White House. And the day after, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is expected to announce his second run for president. President Biden says he's hopeful a debt limit deal will pass. The House votes tonight.
This is going to be the largest cut ever voted on in American history through Congress.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says it'll move in the right direction on spending, but some conservatives and liberal Democrats oppose it. The president getting an update on the country's preparedness for severe weather, highlighting new tools, including advanced satellite technology.
That's going to help get better at predicting where wildfires and storms are going so that we can better position our resources ahead of time to respond.
His annual briefing on extreme weather prep comes ahead of the Atlantic hurricane season, which begins tomorrow. There's a debate in court about where former President Trump should stand trial in a hush money case.
The former president says the case should play out in federal court. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg is for keeping the case where it started, in state court. DA Bragg points to a contradiction between the defendant and his lawyers. The Trump legal team says he must be tried in federal court because some violations occurred while he was president. Bragg points to 2018 tweets where the defendant says the payments for adult film actress Stormy Daniels were private and had nothing to do with the campaign.
Fox's Gernal Scott, a pretrial hearing is scheduled for late June. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. America is listening to Fox News.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Come on, we're going to be late to the cookout.
I was just packing up my famous mac and cheese.
I hope you packed the Pepto, too.
Huh?
Pepto-Bismol provides fast relief from heartburn and indigestion. You know, that uncomfortable feeling after you eat too much and after the deviled eggs, baked beans, and barbecue ribs. You're going to need it.
Barbecue ribs? I should probably pack an extra shirt, too.
Good call.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Partly sunny skies with us as we go through our Wednesday afternoon. Maybe a spot thunder shower here and there, but very limited and actually quite hard to find. 89 for the high. Tonight, a spot evening thunder shower. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies, 68. Thursday and Friday, partly sunny skies. Each day, 89, but a better chance of scattered thunderstorms around Thursday and Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Thomas Helbig, Bob Kershaw, Retirement Advisory Group, they have the ability to provide you a worry-free retirement. You do need to call them to sit down and listen to what they have to say. You're a big girl, you're a big boy. You can make the decision for yourself. But when you understand how they have keys to help you get that worry-free retirement, you are in a position to make that decision and engage in something that's going to help you move into your retirement years, out of your working years, knowing what the game plan is and knowing you're going to be able to execute it. They put you in control of your money. So when you call them at 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, 9494. You're going to be put in contact with people who are going to sit down and listen to you, and they're going to tell you how they can protect your retirement, make you one of their clients who have never lost a penny of that principal. 314-993-9494. Call the Retirement Advisory Group. Mention the Annie Frey Show when you do, and get that appointment scheduled today. Online at retirementkey.com.
Zero Res has the best deal of the summer for you right now. 20% off all services, carpet styles, rugs, upholstery, and air ducts. Call right now, 474-2020, or book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of these huge savings. Ask for the Mark Reardon special. Zero Res, you spell it backward or forward, it spells the same.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
When children were being fatally injured by window blind cords, Honor Law took on the manufacturers to have dangerous cords banned.
Call Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 6189 million.
Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance. And cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Big ideas, real debate, solid entertainment. You found it here.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
You know, the thing about the 2 o'clock hour on the Annie Frey Show is, even up to this point, I don't know what we're going to talk about next.
That's great. Let's just talk
And
about
not an invitation.
what we could talk about, and then we can kind of land as we go.
Is there anything you've been dying to get off your chest? Like that lace that we keep telling you to put away?
Boy. No. That's not even on my chest. That's only in.
Stop it!
You knew what I was doing too.
You took it too far.
I did, and you stopped me right before I did, and I really appreciate that.
Well, to the 3 people who are listening, which are your parents and my dad, hi.
Do you want to go back to the Anheuser-Busch executive at all?
Here's what I will go back to. I have this article, which is along those lines. Gotta pull it up.
Take your time.
WhiskeyRiff.com.
Yeah, Whiskey Riff.
Well-known
political
news outlet.
Yeah. Whiskey Riff.
Yeah. I got this
I'm
article.
This
article, it's legit. It's just not for news.
Yeah, there it is. Country music, outdoors.
George Strait fans at Ohio Stadium concert leave shells stacked with a Bud Light in viral video. This is where I was.
Oh.
This is the concert I was at.
Oh.
And you know what? We were watching people, 80,000 plus people in the stadium. I can't get over the fact that I was in a stadium with that many people, because I don't want to be in places with that many people. We were looking around and people weren't drinking Bud Light.
That's crazy.
There were Michelob Ultras. There were other AV products that were being consumed, but people were not drinking Bud Light.
Yeah.
And when you're at Chris Stapleton, George Strait,
people usually drink Bud Light.
Yeah, but now they don't. I literally noticed this myself, and I was shocked that there was this story on Whiskey Riff. Whiskey Riff.
Risky Whiff.
Risky.
That's a different
Go in the bathroom at Odyssey. You got a risky whiff. You might as well go in there with a mask. It's the only time conservatives walk around in a mask. It's when they go in the Odyssey bathroom.
Risky whiff.
It's a riskywhiff.com.
Do they say that wrong every day and laugh every time?
Yeah, as hard as you just did. Yeah, it's a barrel of laughs over at Risky Whiff.
Among other things.
Like, we did the George Strait article here on Risky Whiff. And the room just erupts. You've done it again, Charles. Do it again tomorrow.
It's such a great inversion of letters. It's so funny. Everybody knows what a risky
Wouldn't you be so mad if you were an executive at Bud Light who had nothing to do with this controversy, who's like, look at all these other brands.
Yeah.
They're doing all these things. Why have we drawn the ire? And I don't know the answer to that question. It's just that you did it at the wrong time at the wrong moment.
I had this story pop up and it was just a serve to me. And I thought, oh, that's interesting because I actually noticed it. But when I noticed that people, because I was looking, I'm like,
yeah,
my husband and I were like, let's see if we can see who's drinking Bud Light and profile them based on like, let's see if they look like they're Bud Light drinkers.
Take some risky whiffs.
And we just didn't see people drinking it. But you said you wanted to talk more about the exec.
Well, I pulled this article up as part of Wiggins America. We didn't get to it, but this guy wrote an article in Daily Mail. He's a former Anheuser-Busch executive. He said he left the company, not recently, but in the last few years, because of all the culture war stuff in corporate America. He's still like an asset manager, so he's still involved in stocks and stuff. So he knows kind of behind the scenes. But he said, he's looking at all these companies. He lists in the article Nike, Calvin Klein, North Face, Los Angeles Dodgers have been in the news a lot lately for wading into these things. He said, it's not by accident that they're wading into the culture wars. He said, it's actually why I left because, in his words, the calculus of running a major corporation has been hijacked. No longer, and this is what it goes right along with what you often say, no longer is the pursuit of the almighty dollar within the bounds of morality and law the sole purpose of so many America's top companies. He says, today, the country's greatest enterprises have been repurposed into vehicles of social change.
The people who run these companies, my opinion is the CEOs, the head cheeses.
Risky whiff.
They all want to make money. They want profitable companies. I believe that there are I'm going back to the college thing, and I want you to just take a walk with me here. When I was talking earlier about the manufacturing of woke warriors in schools, instead of creating employees and employers, they are manufacturing woke warriors that will have, it's like if you build an army, everybody's in the army, but some people are engineers in the army. Some people are technicians in the army. Some people are just combat. Some people are combat in the armies, whatever. Some people are officers. You have one common goal. You have different means to achieve that goal. That's what universities are doing now. It used to be the goal to create a self-sustaining, independent public that could then build upon itself and continuously build a bigger, brighter future for the next generation. It isn't what universities on the whole are doing anymore. And this is how you know that this is the real key focus of publicly funded universities. What is the one place that the Democrat machine wants to make absolutely necessary? Everybody should have a college degree. A college degree shouldn't be held back from anybody. As if that's the only way you can become a success in this country is to get a college degree. They have successfully made that lie part of the fabric of the American dream, is that you go to school, you graduate high school, you get a college degree. That's absurd. I have talked to Corey Malone at Air Comfort Service enough to know that if you go out of high school and get an apprenticeship or something in a trade, if you go work with Air Comfort Service and they teach you how to do HVAC, you are making bank compared to the people who will have potentially 6 figures of debt to make $45,000 a year, of which they can never pay back. Where we get to our next point. They have said a college degree is absolutely necessary, and keeping a college degree from anyone is discriminatory. The only way that you can do that is to make it so that anybody can access that college education. So you should say, well, you need to make a college education affordable. No, that's not what we're going to do. Actually, we're going to make it so astronomically unaffordable that you can't get a college degree without the help of the government, i.e. taxpayers. So then they have to go to the government to be able to afford the thing that they have to have in order to be a successful American. They get them to sign on a dotted line when they're 18. And then what ends up happening, they spend 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years in a university system that scrambles their brain into being social justice warriors so that whatever degree that they get, they go inject that into the beer that you don't drink anymore. That's the absurdity of this. So then what do? These people are all riddled with that and the system's out to get them. Then they get a whole new political campaign that says, you shouldn't have to pay for that. Let Uncle Sam take care of it. And these people who are not making good wages because it was never about being independent, they were always promised that there would be a big government there to take care of them. The big government shows up and takes care of them by saying, you don't have to pay that back. It's on us. Actually, it's on that HVAC worker that I told you that went straight into the trade after high school, got a job, making $60,000 while everyone else is paying $60,000 to go to school. And now that person has to pay for it. It makes them mad, but it makes all of the people who have been told since they were 18 years old, we got it. We'll take care of you for this. We'll take care of you for that too. And in the future, don't worry, we'll get you there too. But you've got to be a part of the team. You got to be a soldier. You got to be a warrior. When you become a marketing exec, remember what we told you here. It's your job to take it out into the world so more people understand. It is a scam. It keeps the same people in power. These students are told to hate the man. But big government is the man. And they work through school to get jobs so that they can serve the man. That's why when people get this, get the veil pulled back on what's actually going here, they're kind of angry about it. And they become very active in making sure that other people understand that this big government way is not sustainable. That's the thing that makes me the most concerned about the future of this country is this, you've got some exec at Bud Light who thinks that she's saving the world and her belief, which equals inclusivity, and she's going to impart it upon all of us rubes who have been just chauvinistically drinking Bud Light for generations. She's going to fix it all at the altar of inclusivity, and then everything is going to be fixed, except for, of course, it's not, which means they always have something else to sell us. So who wins in the end?
Right. Yeah. And this guy, you mentioned the man. I mean, they rail against the man. They have in our lifetimes been down with the man, down with big corporations, especially until they control the corporations. And then they're fine with corporations. This guy outlines, this former AB executive, he outlines exactly how this has happened and says that details here. BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, he writes in Daily Mail, are the three largest and most influential financial institutions in U.S. history. They're known as the Big Three on Wall Street. They, in 2019, all decided, you know what we're going to do? Instead of answering to shareholders, we're going to answer to stakeholders. So they basically just switched the term, just like equality and equity. You know, they just changed the term a little bit.
Close.
It sounds like the same thing.
Majorly different.
But what they're saying is stakeholder capitalism is a broader social conscience that includes everybody, including your shareholders, but including all of society. These three companies, he says, control more than $20 trillion in assets, and nearly 90% of the companies listed on the U.S. stock exchange answer to them in some way or another, the S&P 500. He says these big three's influence is staggering, and they have decided to start influencing corporate boards toward basically woke politics. And when they say it, it happens. That's pulling back the curtain right there.
I wonder how many boycotts are going to happen to teach these corporations a lesson to not get there. Because by the time we see it, that's months and months of planning in advance.
Yeah.
Maybe even years. G-Wib says Target needs to replace their tuck-it swimsuits with untuck-it shirts.
Or untuck-it swimsuits.
What if they had, I don't want that. What if they had untuck-it shirts and tuck-it swimsuits next to each other? It'd be harmonious.
Yeah, you can choose.
Totally up to you.
That's this guy's point, is that he says the Bud Light thing and the Target thing are actually making a difference at these big corporate levels, because they're all for the first time going, oh, Oh, there's pushback because there's never been. They just thought this is the stream of things. Nobody's ever going to care. And now all of a sudden, somebody cared. And now they're afraid of what's happening.
You want to speak about the Disneyland Fairy Godmother's Apprentice when we come back?
I would love to.
All right. I told you to stop wearing those dresses.
Is it about me? Is it about photos from our trip?
It is.
Oh, man.
No.
It is not.
No.
Disneyland doing Disneyland things. We'll talk about it when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Stewart's American Mortgage, when you are looking to refinance, people might go, Annie, rates are super high. I'm not refinancing now. Well, that's not the case for everyone. Rates were super, super high. They've come down a little bit since then. If you got a mortgage here in the last 8-10 months or so, you need to check where rates are right now compared to the one that you might have gotten when you purchased your home here within the last year. Because if rates have come down from where you were before and you use the bagel loan, you don't have to pay any fees to go through that process. And the amount of money that you can save on those interest payments over the course of the term of your loan is pretty astronomical. You reach out to Stewie at 314-324-4440 and you ask him if he can help you or how he can help you. 314-324-4440. He'll walk you through the process and he'll be honest with you. If he can't help you, he's going to tell you, you know what, this isn't the thing that's best for you. I've talked to him before about different kinds of refinances and he said, you know what, Annie, this isn't the right time to do that. Or I don't think that this is what you should do. You should do XYZ instead. Stewie's going to be honest with you, and he's going to help save you money every single time that he can. But you got to reach out to him at 314-324-4440 and ask him about the bagel loan. You can Google the bagel loan as well, NMLS number 226715.
Cardinals baseball is in full swing.
Right center field, a grand slam for Nolan Gorman.
With the free Odyssey app, local fans can listen live all summer long, whether you're at the grill or at the pool.
And it's a goner! An opposite field home run for Wilson Contreras.
Cardinals baseball. Cardinals announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
Diamonds Direct takes our most popular offer ever up to the next level. Now, for a limited time, you can make any purchase and take advantage of special financing for up to 5 years or get $5,000 off. Get the lowest possible monthly payment or get a generous cash credit. It's all about giving you more. Design the ring of your dreams with our most flexible finance options and best savings ever offered. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Get details and more at diamondsdirect.com. Unapproved credit.
Remember your childhood piggy bank and the satisfaction you felt finally reaping the rewards of your diligent savings? With TrueHold, you can access your biggest piggy bank, your home's equity, and start enjoying the retirement you planned for right now without having to move. Here's how. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value while home values are high. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. Plus, TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance too. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Start enjoying your home's equity while values are high. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
We had some really great interviews earlier in the show. Chad Pergram joined us to talk about the debt ceiling bill. Deroy Murdock joined us to talk about Tim Scott. Chadwick Moore talked to us about his new Tucker Carlson book. You can rewind on the Odyssey app to all of those interviews. The current time is 2:25. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Keeping you connected and aware.
In the world, the country, and the community.
And offering more ways than ever to listen conveniently. Tell your smart speaker to play 97.1 FM Talk or download the Odyssey app.
Everybody's always waiting on Friday.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Open umbrella on the patio. Don't need a reason or a happy hour. Ain't hanging around for a fireworks show. Get a head start, a little sip of something. Off and running, here we go. 1, 2, 3, here we go. Don't want to wait till the sun's sinking.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. I just opened something that was sent to me, and I don't know what it is.
I'm so fascinated.
Woke cold filtered nitro coffee.
That is awesome.
Why do I want to drink something that says it's woke? Shake well, pour hard. Does it have booze in it?
It says the word hard.
Boozy cold brew? Never heard of such a thing.
It's not a soft drink, maybe. Might be a hard drink, Annie.
It says a percentage of the proceeds from the sale of this beverage goes to progressive causes.
What?
Together we can move this country in the right direction, one sip at a time. Man, this is a weird prank.
National PR might have you on the wrong list.
That is so awesome that was sent to you.
Well, hey, at least they're being honest.
Oh,
they're leaning into it.
I get put on lists. I get emails. I want to read this on the air, but I have to read it to myself before I read it on the air.
I'm afraid it's poisoned.
Yeah, I know. This is how I die.
She drank something sent in the mail.
Here, let's send her poison and see if she drinks it. And then I do, and they're like, "Oh,
well, that was easy.
Shouldn't have put our brand all over
Keep
it."
doing that to all the conservative.
I said we were going to talk about the Disneyland. It's called, as if this matters, and it doesn't. It's Disney Company. It is. There's not a difference. I mean, Disneyland is the happiest place on Earth.
It's a huge difference.
And Disney World is the most magical place.
Yeah.
On Earth. And that's how you know a true Disney nerd, because they'll be like, "Oh, we're going to Disney World, the happiest place on Earth." And the people who know are like, "Don't say anything." Don't say anything.
Yeah.
It's technically the most magical place on Earth. Well, it's the happiest place on Earth. In Disneyland, there's this at both parks and probably around the world at the other parks. There's a place called Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And what I could do is take my 7-year-old and set her up an appointment, and she would go to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and she would get a princess makeover, and it's a whole thing and very over the top dresses, hair done in a princess set, like makeup that you would put on just to be like, okay, here, you look like a princess, whatever.
Ate that up.
Glitter.
Age restrictions or?
They kicked you out when we were there.
Is that what that was? I was pretty drunk.
Yeah. This video is of you.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, I'm kidding. This man at Disneyland is a fairy godmother's apprentice. the people, the cast members who used to work at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique used to be called fairy godmothers in training. People are, in context of this story, people are like, oh, and they changed it. This is something that happened it might be 18 months ago. This changed a long time ago. I think we got all bent out of shape about it then. And so there's probably enough time past that we can all get real excited about getting bent out of shape about it again. But they changed it from fairy godmothers in training to fairy godmothers apprentices, because if you were fairy godmother in training, that would indicate gender. So now, instead of being in training to be a fairy godmother, you are now just one of the fairy godmother's apprentices.
Because little girls were really concerned about this, and they thought, we need to change this, get ahead of them.
So this man, from what I understood, the initial point of that was so that both men and women could work at this place. And you could have a lot of women go to male hairdressers. A lot of women go to male hairdressers who may not be straight, heterosexual, white men. There's a lot of diversity in that department. So you could definitely go to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, experience a straight, heterosexual male who could turn you into a princess. That's completely within the realm of possibility. So they opened it up for that. Well, now the video that was taken that exposed what's going on at Disneyland is there is a man who is dressed in the full female dress and heavy makeup. And he's out with the wand sprinkling glitter and stuff on this, which is what any fairy godmother's apprentice would do. He's doing it, but he's doing it dressed as a female. I don't want my kid to be asking me those questions when I'm at Disneyland. And I've heard people say, like, who you kind of alluded to it right now, but like, who is asking for this to be included? Like, who was putting the pressure on Disney to do this?
Yeah.
Disney can't not do this in this moment in time because of what Disney has done. And I go back when I was talking about the marketing exec for Bud Light, who outed everything that the brand was trying to do to you. It had nothing to do with beer. It has to do with your lifestyle and your culture choices and your opinions on things. That's what they are trying to change about you while you're holding your Bud Light. The Bud Light is really an afterthought. Disney, it was just maybe, was it my 2021? Was it Christopher Rufo who exposed the videos from the DEI meetings taking place at Disney where the executive was talking about how she was not even trying to hide, how she was trying to infiltrate everything that she could with LGBTQ plus IA or whatever it is. I don't think I said that right. Issues. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was video footage of their Zoom meetings at the time where they were pushing in their executive meetings pretty hard left social agenda stuff under Bob Chapek.
The showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and like our leadership over there has been so welcoming to like my like not at all secret gay agenda. And so like I feel like I felt like it was, I mean, like maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess like something must have happened in the last like they are turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that like momentum that I felt, like that sense of I don't have to be afraid to like, let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background, like I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to like if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of them. But like, I just was like, no one would stop me and no one was trying to stop me.
Aside from the content of what she said, how many times did she just say like?
1,500.
My not so secret gay agenda. Again, we have an example of a brand that has been acknowledging a multitude of lifestyles, a multitude of ways of life, of interests of all of the diverse people. I mean, diversity is good. Diversity is something that should be celebrated. They're not celebrating it. They're actually creating hierarchies and they're using it to shove it in your face. And we know that Because they tell us. That's the problem. Bud Light's partnership and sponsorship of Pride events has been taking place for 6 years. Nobody cared about Bud Light's relationship with Pride events. I mean, maybe some people cared, but not enough to make a even scratch in the surface. The executive for Bud Light is the one who changed the whole game. This video release from Disney, when that came out, when you hear that these people have a not-so-secret gay, their word, agenda. You can't have this stuff out there and have a guy who wants to dress as a woman to go be at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. You can't tell them no. Disney's boxed themselves into a corner. And they're going to pay the price for that. They are paying the price for that. Where's my phone? My Disney stock buying is not going well.
No, it's not.
It's a disaster. And I am thrilled because they have to start understanding that the consequence of preaching your agenda to everybody is going to cost you. And you got to decide, what do you want? A wildly successful company or your perceived moral high ground? Because it's going to come at an incredible price. Maybe it's worth it to Disney. Maybe it's worth it to Bud Light. We know that it's not worth it to Bud Light because they never, ever, ever stood by Dylan Mulvaney. They just wanted him to hit his followers, and he has a ton of them. They knew if Dylan Mulvaney did it, everybody would know about it. And a second, people were like, wait, what? Bud Light never stood by Dylan Mulvaney. They don't stand for that stuff. And Disney is just kind of out there wading in the water, treading water, not really standing up for anything. But they are getting trounced economically. And that's going to have some effect. I don't know what Disney is supposed to do. I don't know what Bud Light is supposed to do because they have already boldly chosen a side. And when they went to choose a side, choosing a side comes with consequences. But if you're going to actively, as a business or a corporation, choose a side, if you're a corporation, you have to be choosing it because you've determined that's what's in your best interest, however you measure what your best interests are. You can't just go and choose the other side now. You have to somehow or another find your way back to neutral. And I don't know that these massive companies can do that without completely isolating the other side. And then what happens?
What they're realizing right now, this is what I did Wiggins America on too, is that there might, for the first time ever, be consequences for stepping into social politics. They have no company has thought that for the last decade plus. So they just kind of go with whatever they think is popular. That's what's funny, too, is that people who think that they're so countercultural, and I'm talking about individuals here, they think they're very countercultural, and they do exactly what the government and every major corporation in America does. And they go, I'm very different. I'm going against the grain. It's just funny to see all of a sudden, after just one, I mean, that's what's amazing. Really, there's been just one successful boycott enacted that's currently going on with Bud Light. Target's kind of maybe getting there too. We'll see over the next couple weeks what their stock price does. But just that one has been enough for all of corporate America to really start to reconsider where they're headed as a company and maybe staying out of these things.
In December of 2019, Disney's stock price was $147. That's December 2019, right before the pandemic. $147. March 16th, right when everything hit the fan, $85.98.
March 16th of this year?
2020.
Of 2020, okay.
Yeah, like when was that when they closed the stock market or something? Because it just crashed. March 16th of 2020, $85.98. That is the stock price.
That's when everybody panic sold and was jumping out of the market because nobody knew what was going on.
Fast forward to March 8th of 2021. 1 year later, stock was $197.16.
Almost 200?
almost $200.
Oh, that's a big bounce.
Today, $87.96.
Wow. So it's back to when people panic sold in March of 2020.
It's as good as it's maybe ever been if you're a buyer.
Wow.
It's as bad as it's ever been if you are an investor. And there's a reason why. The parks are down in attendance. The movies are not being attended the way they expect them to be. You look, and it's not like, oh, people aren't going to the movies anymore. No, go look at Super Mario Brothers. It did really, really well. It was an animated film about something nostalgic. We watched it this past weekend with the kids, and it was just a good feeling movie.
I mean, John Wick was like number 4 at the box office all year. That is a dude's movie.
There are people who are going to the movie theater, and for some reason, Disney is not doing well. And I say, good, suffer, and make decisions for the company that reflect the people who you want to spend money there. Or live in this righteous land, fantasy land that you have chosen to live in right now, and you're going to have to pay the price from that. But if you see this video of this fairy godmother's apprentice, and I mean, it's not that it matters, really. It's not a feminine looking man. It's a man who has a full mustache and just a ton of blue eyeshadow and a dress on. If I signed up to send my daughter to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and had to come out of that explaining something to my child that maybe they hadn't been exposed to. And I'm talking, I've already had conversations with my 10-year-old and with my 13-year-old about, hey, listen, there are people who are different than you, and your job as a Christian is to treat them with love and kindness. If they are different than you, then they're looking at you saying you're different than them. You don't want to be treated a different way because you're different people. You have to treat them with love and kindness and show them Jesus. That's my motherly goal and lesson to my children. You don't preach at people. You show them who you are and why you are who you are. And that involves love and kindness. Is that why I'm paying like $150 to turn my 7-year-old into a princess so that I can pay to teach my child that lesson? It just isn't. Maybe there's a huge market for it. Maybe Disney's tapping into something at Disneyland that I'm economically not smart enough to understand. I suspect it won't. And we will have to wait and see if Bob Iger, who's a temporary CEO, has what it takes to turn the ship around. I don't know that it can be righted fast enough.
I think you said it. They have painted themselves into a corner. They have set up, here are the boundaries of morality. And now, oh, wait, we have to follow those too. And it leads to a lot of consequences that you may not have realized.
And the last thing that I'll add here, I know we're going long. I have heard from so many people who are attached to the success and failure of Anheuser-Busch. Even people who are contractors.
We're in St. Louis.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But people who aren't like directly AB employees. They're people who are contractors for them. People who run bars. You've talked about your friend who runs a bar. People who maybe run grocery stores or whatever it might be. And they have all conveyed to me that it's so unfortunate that they are so far removed from the decision that was made that has caused this boycott, that it is affecting them, and that they didn't have anything to do with it. Please remember, Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light, that is still on you. It's not on the people. It's not on the neighbors of these people who work for you. It's not our job to buy your product to support our neighbor. It's your job as an employer to take care of your employees in a way that when you make decisions, not the Dylan Mulvaney can. I can't stress enough how much the Dylan Mulvaney can is the red herring to make people be like, oh, they hate transgender people. I don't hate transgender people at all. I don't. I do not like marketing execs who look down on me and think that if I were to be entertained by a previous Bud Light ad, that somehow indicates something that's problematic about me or about somebody who I love. That's the problem. And when you hire people like that and you give them carte blanche, the opportunity to share their belief system that is sold through inclusivity in the way that exec looks at it, you're selling yourself into another Bud Light crisis. Don't do that to your employees. It's not on the consumer to protect the people who you employ, even if they are super far removed from these decisions. You need to make better decisions. And every single corporation right now needs to be vetting their marketing execs to make sure that they understand the weight of their decisions and how many people's lives their decisions affect when they decide to play with the brand for their own woke ideologies. Well, I got to go because I got some woke coffee to drink.
It's
or not.
Literally called woke coffee.
It is. It's right here. I mean, is this your thing?
No, because I don't like coffee. But I also don't like woke.
This is so on the nose that I'm waiting to find out that it's actually conservative, but I don't know.
I know. That's what I thought too when you opened it. If something is that in your face,
it's super in your face.
I thought, it's got to be kind of a joke thing.
The label says woke, and the O is an I that is open.
Ain't no joke. It's woke.
I'll look it over and maybe give you some more details on this when we come back. Look away.
For a fireworks show, get a head start, a little sip of something, off and running. Here we go.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Air Comfort Service online at aircomfortservice.com has an amazing sale for you right now. Until the end of June, you can save up to $1,550 in Carrier Cool Cash rebates on qualifying systems. Air Comfort Service can be reached at 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. You call Air Comfort Service, say, I heard about you on the Annie Frey Show, and she said I can save with some cash rebates, and I'd like to know how you can help. And they're going to walk you through that process. I trust Air Comfort Service in my home. I am a customer of Air Comfort Service, and you can lean into other people's reviews of them as well, but just go online and look at their Google reviews first and foremost. I think Google reviews really can articulate exactly how well a company can do business, and Air Comfort Service has glowing reviews there. They've also received awards like they're a 9-time recipient of the Carrier's President's Award. They've been named a top workplace by the Post-Dispatch. And like I said, they have thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews online. If you're looking to save and up to $1,550 in Carrier Cool Cash rebates, go with Air Comfort Service online at aircomfortservice.com.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. When planning your summer vacation, pick a destination close to where you live to limit your use of fuel. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Warmer days are coming. Time to schedule your annual AC system check for as little as $15 a month. For any residential or commercial HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
David Williams is the president of the Taxpayers Protection Alliance.
This debt ceiling deal is about a time limit, not a dollar amount. And it's saying until early 2025.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't want to go home right now. And all I could taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your life. And sooner or later it's over. I just don't want to miss you tonight.
This might be the greatest song ever.
It is so good.
Johnny Resnick. I saw Goo Goo Dolls might be my first secular concert.
Hard pass.
It's all right. He's not singing to you anyway.
No, he was obviously singing to you.
Singing to me.
Yeah.
Nelson. So the back of this coffee brand says, "Get woke, go broke." That's what they say, right? Au contraire, mon frère. Being woke, French, obviously. Being woke means having an awareness. This is good because we always ask, what does woke mean?
Oh yeah, let's find out on the back of the can.
This can of coffee that somebody who I think hates me so much that they love me.
Mm-hmm. I could take a few guesses.
I have one. Being woke means having an awareness that our government is mostly working for the richest among us.
Mm-hmm.
Being woke,
really?
Being woke means seeing injustice, knowing that society can and must do better, and then being a part of the solution. Is this coffee supposed to make you vomit? Get woke, fine folk, and we'll keep making this kick-ass gourmet nitro-infused coffee. This is where capitalism comes in, and I love it.
Yeah.
Nitro-infused coffee, so you'll have the energy to speak truth to power. So what they're saying is, buy my product so we can stick it to the man. And then it says a percentage of the proceeds from the sale of this beverage goes to progressive causes. Together, we can move this country in the right direction, one sip at a time. You, my friend, are conflicted. Somebody spent their money on this for me to have.
Their only desire is to become so big that they can be some of those corporate cronies that deal with the government.
If anybody, I'm going to put out just an absolute shameless ploy right now. Plea, not ploy. Shameless plea. If anybody wants to send me the alternative to woke coffee or conservative things, I will read your stuff on the air as well. We've done unboxings before.
I love them.
And I got this package. Trisha told me, she's like, you got a package. It says fragile. I'm like, what is it? Who's it from? And I opened it and it says, where's this? Here it goes.
Oh, we love unboxings.
Yeah,
we do.
Thanks for your purchase. 5%, a 5%.
Whoa.
Of the profits from this item going to go to a super PAC.
I don't
Whose
know
mission
how
it
much
is to make northern Wisconsin more progressive.
Wow, that's really specific. Good for them, I guess, if they are putting their money where their mouth is. I bet, though, and I don't know, but I bet that product is not cheap. Have no idea, but I'm going to guess.
I hope not. I hope someone spent a lot of their money, their hard-earned money.
6-pack, $27.
Really?
Yep.
Thank
wow,
you.
27.
I'm not even going to drink it. I'm going to put it on my trophy wall.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to mount it and stuff it?
No, I'm just going to sit it there.
You're not
going to
gonna
collect
mount it.
dust next to my award that I got from the Missouri Broadcasters Association.
Oh, boy.
That had the station written on it
yours.
instead of my name, but it was my award. So I scratched it off in Sharpie. And
Just kept it in the plastic.
And I wrote in the plastic.
And wrote over it.
I'll take a picture of it. You want to do the poll?
Yes. Today we asked you guys to grade Speaker Kevin McCarthy's job performance so far. The options were you could grade him an A, a B or a C, a D, or an F. With 170 votes, 54% of the people say that Kevin McCarthy's job performance deserves a B or a C grade. 21% of the people said they give him a D. 15% of the people said they give him an A. 10% of the people give him an F. 10% of people give Kevin McCarthy an F for his job performance so far.
That if I were Kevin McCarthy and I heard those results, 54% give him a passing grade. Well, no, 54.
Give him B or C.
69% of the people give him a passing grade. I'm feeling pretty good about that, considering the negotiation right now isn't everything conservatives hope and dream for.
Heck no, it's not.
10% failing, 21% D. I think it could be way worse.
That's why I would give him a D and not an F.
I'd do BC. I think he's doing the best he can with what he has, and he needs more help. We'll be covering
There's no doubt about that.
Up to the next election. The Mark Reardon Show up here next.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.